the altered release schedule for English, this did not become the 7th set and instead was the 5th, releasing after the 3rd set, which was actually the 4th set. This set is mainly focused on great nature, as you can tell by all the units featured on the cover here, but it also gave us Lukier, as well as Reggie for Dark Irregulars. We also managed to get Pelennor here, and we got some cards that allowed Coco to actually become a deck in this set, as well as we actually got the Sheep Nurse Chamomile. Let's just jump into it. So we'll find out really quickly if this is one of the first edition ones. Oh, it is a first edition box. I don't know if they had multiple printings of this, but we know that the first edition of this set actually came with the PR card, Alfred Early here. It's a pretty cool card for Royal Paladin. Just says whenever you place this on Vanguard, you can choose a blaster blade from your soul and call it to rear. So, not half bad. But we've got the usual big box structure here, where this is, I believe, 30 packs. Here, each pack has 5 cards. We have 120 total cards in the set list, and I believe it's all 30 packs here. So let's go ahead and bump these out. Here, the pack design is the same as the one that is in the box. Looks pretty decent. We'll do this, I believe this is the left side first. I've actually bought some random packs of these in the past. When I was first starting to get into Vanguard, I really wanted to just buy a bunch of random packs, as well as a bunch of random cards. I love this little raccoon here, this little sad raccoon, because I was just trying to get random cards to get into Vanguard, and I just didn't know, what to get, so I just got a bunch of the old stuff, because that was the only thing that was cheap and available. And I managed to get myself a copy of Lukier, which was pretty insane, because I only bought like 2 or 3 packs of this set. We got ourselves here a crit for a paladin, and we're gonna get ourselves a rare here. As you can see, the rare pattern is different from the previous set. You can check out that video if you want to know what I'm talking about. This looks so damn cool. But this is the Lop Ear Shooter. Pretty good card for Gold Paladin at this time. Next pack here. Hopefully this format of just opening the packs straight away has been working out, but we'll see. So we got ourselves here Feather Penguin, bunch of great nature cards. So this set was somewhat hyped up because it has a lot of cool stuff, and there's even stuff that's in the set that's still used to this day. But you have a lot of, I guess, garbage for the most part. Here is the Hades carriage of the Witching Hour. It looks so great. It's funny looking at those carriages just because like they worked so differently in Vanguard 0 that seeing them in the real game is just like, I don't know, it just messes with my brain a little bit. We're gonna get ourselves the Limit Break cards, or the Limit Break enablers, I should say. Sorry, this one's for Gold Paladin. We've seen a couple of them already. Here is the Cheshire Cat for the Dark Regulars, and we're actually gonna get ourselves the Purple Trapezes. Look at that, an original Purple Trapezes. Such a great card. Look at that foiling. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So that's really nice to see. I don't even know if I have enough copies of that card, to be honest, but pretty cool nonetheless. Innocent Magician. Here's the Dreaming Fortress, another of those cards that I look at differently because of Vanguard 0 and the way that it functioned in that game. Haven't had any big hits yet. Here's the Midnight Invader. Can't believe this and Purple Trapezes are in the same rarity. Absolutely sane. Got ourselves here good old Demon Chariot of the Witching Hour, which was a triple rare in Vanguard 0. Got ourselves the Limit Break enablers, Chauffle, got ourselves a Draw Trigger, and then we got ourselves Dancing Princess of the Night Sky. I was gonna say Moonlight Sky. This is a card that, one of those cards that still sees play to this day, and until recently, before it got reprinted, it was like $10 or something like that. Very hard to get. So I think it even went up to like $20 or something like that. I don't know if that's changed. I think also the deck that it was in is no longer as good, so it might not be as expensive, but yeah, it's insane that something from so long ago is still seeing play, right? We got ourselves Devil in Shadow. Got Hungry Egg from the Netherworld, and then we're gonna get ourselves a Flask Marset here. It's gonna be another starter for Great Nature. There. I got ourselves the Canvas Koala. This stupid hippo that I hate so much because it looks just like a freaking nutsack. And then we got ourselves Thermometer Giraffe there. Absolutely hate that hippo. Cannot stand looking at it. Every time I look at it, I get upset. Here we got the Cyber Beast, who I always thought was a really cool looking card because it's like a shark dude trying to eat a computer. We got ourselves the Dreaming Fortress equivalent here, Devil in Shadow, a goat, and then we're gonna actually get ourselves our first triple rare, which was surprisingly the Emerald Witch Lala. I forgot that this was actually a triple rare. So this is for Oracle Think Tank, and it says you choose a card from your hand, or I should say, I'll read it in a new way. When this unit is placed on rear, if you have an Oracle Think Tank Vanguard and you do not have any cards in your soul, you can choose a card from your hand and discard it, and if you do, draw one. So triple rare that just lets you discard one, draw one, which is kind of insane. It even makes you discard first before drawing, which is kind of like the worst way to do that, right? Girl Who Crossed the Gap is just such an insane card, such an insane looking card, right? Like, it's a shame that they didn't like play around with this theme of like what's going on and like the naming. It's so insane, so absolutely insane, but so cool. I got ourselves a Nightmare Doll here. We got ourselves Moonsault Swallow, Cracker Magician, and we're gonna get ourselves the locks. We got the grade 1 at some point earlier in the opening. We might have gotten multiple of the grade 1s, so we just need the grade 3 as well as the grade 0. I think we'll have that squared away. Dreaming Fortress, we got ourselves the Chariot, grade 1. We got ourselves a Draw Trigger, and we're gonna get ourselves the Pencil Hero Hamsuke, the grade 3 version. Oh, look at that. Whew, so cool. Nice. So far, not a lot of hits. I think we only get like 3 triples or something like that, right? Then we got ourselves here some more Great Nature stuff. We've got the grade 2 Hamsuke. They all have the same skill, where if they're retired, you can counterblast one, bounce, or not bounce, but grab a copy from your deck into your hand. We got another Flask Marmoset. Hopefully all of they get. I haven't even seen a double rare, but maybe it's just something so nonsensical that I just ignored it, right? We got ourselves here the Feather Penguin again. Got ourselves Greedy Hand, and then we're gonna get ourselves, hey, the grade 1 Hamsuke. Very nice. I guess they were all in rare. It seems unnecessary. They could maybe just made those commons, but that's fine. We got the Hula Hoop Capybara. Love this card. So cute. It's even cuter with a ring. That is right. Such a cute card. Koala again. We got ourselves the Oracle Guardian here. This cute little Eraser Alpaca. And we're finally going to get ourselves a double rare here in School Dominator App. So this is a limit break unit, but its limit break is just when it attacks a Vanguard, it gets 5k power. Then when this unit hits a Vanguard, you can choose one of your Great Nature rear guards and retire it. So it doesn't activate the effect of like if you're retired during end phase, because this won't happen in end phase, but you can retire it and then call something from your hand that's Great Nature mid battle, so it gives you an additional attack, which is kind of cool. Almost done with the what I assume was the left side pile, but maybe we'll see ourselves another hit here. Got the Element Glider again, got the TikTok Flamingo Chariot, the Alarm Chicken, and we are going to get another hit. It's going to be the Peekaboo here, I feel like one of the more flavorful cards here in this set. So this is Peekaboo, has 2 skills. In Soul, at the beginning of your main phase, if you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, you may Soul Blast 1, and if you do, you can call this card out to rear. Then at the beginning of your end phase, if you have a Pale Moon Vanguard, you can put this into Soul. It's very cool. It literally peeks out and then it goes back into Soul. Love the design on that card, because it's, I guess it's art as well, but mainly its name matches its effect. And I love it when stuff like that happens. Got the other Limit Break Enabler. We got the Grade 0 locks. There you go. We got ourselves Eclair. We got Dark Knight of the Nightmare Land here. And we're going to get ourselves another double rare here in the Magician of Quantum Mechanics. This is another one that has like an insane name and art. that I really wish they played up more on, but this guy is basically Purple Trapezist, except you counterblast 1 in order to do it, and you counterblast 1 and you put itself into soul instead of another unit. Then you call something else out that's not it. Then whatever you called out, you put back into your soul. So very interesting wording on the effect. But of course, it turned out to be Purple Trapezist, who saw a lot more play, especially considering because you could use her in battle. Which is funny that this is a double rare now, right? But in Vanguard Zero, they switched it around where Purple Trapezist became a triple rare, which is kind of rightfully so. And then the Quantum Magician was like a common or a rare, which is just kind of insane. Then we got ourselves here some more Lemon Break Enablers. We got ourselves the Jumping Glean. I don't think we have Jumping Jill yet. This card I always thought was really cool, but you don't really, at least I don't know that you use Lemon Break Enablers in Darker Regulars like that. Then we got ourselves Bullseye Mia. Here. Alright, then we got ourselves the next pile here, the next side, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna get ourselves this Jumping Gel again. We're gonna get ourselves the Doctoroid Megalos. This also kind of sees play today. And we're gonna get ourselves a rare here. I thought this was a double rare, but this is Sky Witch Nana. Cool. It's another piece for Soulless Witches, which is playable thanks to mainly the Lulu that's in this set, who I believe is a double rare. Here's the grade 0 locks yet again. Another one of these Swallow. I had a little bit of a PSTD because I saw like the red and the blue, so I thought this was like an over trigger. So I was just like, what? But sorry. Then we got ourselves here the Spring Breeze Messenger. Pretty cool card for Gold Paladin. You can just extend into something else, and if you gamble, baby, and you hit that Pelennor, look at you. Look at you now with that brand new Vanguard on Vanguard Circle. Or Vanguard Circle, I should say. I got a Poison Juggler. And we got ourselves the Battle Sister Glace, which looks super insanely cool. And it was disappointing that she was really only used if you had no cards in Soul, so you couldn't really use her in like any other decks, right? But that's fine. Then we got ourselves here the Special Intercept for Great Nature. Souffle. The Cracker Magician, and we're gonna get ourselves the Photon Archer Grifflet, who's just the one of the units, one of the grade 3s that on Hikidri's stand. A rear guard if you counterblast 2, otherwise as the Vanguard, and if the attack hit, but then otherwise it would only let you stand one of your grade 1 rear guards. Cool. Got the Flyer here. And we're gonna get ourselves this really pretty card here in Courting Succubus. I really like her like design and like the jacket she's wearing. It just looks really cool, and then the colors look really nice. But I don't know if she's the person being courted or if she's trying to court me with this look. It's kind of confusing, to be honest with you. I don't really know what's going on there, but hey, she looks cool as hell. I got ourselves another Chariot here, another Eclair. We got ourselves a Drawing Dread, which is funny because he actually draws your card. And we're gonna get ourselves another one of these Succubus. Very nice. Got ourselves just a couple of more packs here. Unfortunately, we really did not get the best box like this, which is a bit unfortunate. But it is what it is. At least we did get the Alfred early, which is nice that I was able to confirm that from the history video, which should be coming out the next one whenever this video goes up, right? Which is pretty exciting because I'm actually on schedule for these, presumably for once. But we're gonna get ourselves another double rare here in the Fiery Breeze Kyrie, who is a Libra clone. So on hit, you can counter blast 2 and draw 1. Pretty cool. Then let's see what else we can get. We should at least see one more triple, I think. Well, we'll see. Surely I wouldn't be so cracked as to get a Lukier SP, right? I got ourselves a double rare in the Emblem Master. I can't believe this card was a double rare, but I get it. So this says when this attack hits a Vanguard and you have a Darker Regulars Vanguard, you can counterblast 1, so charge 3 cards. So pretty pivotal for Darker Regulars, right? Since you need a bunch of cards in Soul. We got ourselves here the Hamskay again, more Giraffes, more Swallowing, more Flyers, and we're gonna get ourselves this stupid ass triple rare. At least the foiling and whatnot looks really cool. But we got ourselves Dark Lord of Abyss here, who is going to be the first limit break unit for Darker Regulars. So he says you can counterblast 2 to soul charge 2, and then this fella gets 1k power for each Dark Irregulars in your soul, and his only other effect is if you don't have a Dark Irregulars Vanguard or Rearguard, he gets minus 2k. So pretty disappointing. Overall, it is what it is. That is one of the cards that did get eroded this set because it didn't, presumably it doesn't say it here, right? Yeah, it just says you just get the power, but it doesn't say till like end of turn or anything like that, right? So it could be implied that it just lasts for the rest of the game and you're just all powerful. And honestly, that would have probably been the only way to make that card good. But, whoops. We're gonna get ourselves here the cats, but we are gonna get ourselves a triple rare in the Binoculus Tiger. I can't believe they made all of these cards so high rarity. Poor Great Nature kids. So this is the Binoculus Tiger. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, choose one of your Great Nature rear guards, have it get 4k, and then at the beginning of your end phase, you retire that unit. So very pivotal card for Great Nature, as it is the easiest way to just retire one of your units, give it 4k. You know, it's for free on attack, very good on a 9k body, very nice. Ourselves a great one locks. Turiel, Greedy Hand, whoops, keep spoiling everything for you guys, but we did get ourselves a rare here in a Little Witch Lulu, who does enable soulless witches because she can call herself out from soul and then empty out your soul on the right of your Coco, and between the two of them you can draw 2 cards, which is kind of nice. Gonna get ourselves the Lemon Break Enabler here, got ourselves a Greedy Hand, the Speeder Hound, and then finally another Glace. This looks really pretty. And we got ourselves here the second to last pack. Unfortunately, please give me something crazy. Gonna get the Rune Weaver here, super cool looking art here. Got ourselves the Cobra, and wow, it is just the freaking Photon Griffith. All right, here's the very last pack of Rampage of the Beast King. Overall, it was a pretty lackluster.
This card's one though.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey everyone, welcome to today's Drop Zone tournament. We will try our best to do some live commentary today. But I'm also managing the tournament at the same time, so we'll see how this goes, right? So up first we have ourselves Beans versus Lucky99. So Beans is actually the winner of the tournament that we had on Friday. So he's, I guess, a returning champion. Yesterday he couldn't reclaim his title, but we're gonna see he's piloting Eva today. He's gonna go ahead and use the torrential energy resource. Unfortunately, only able to get the PG out of that. No, what's his face? I heard someone call him the mouse yesterday. I was like, what? He's not a mouse. No Imagar off of that. With that, we're just going to shuffle and pass turn with Lucky over here going second. They actually have the Nanami, I believe is her name, for the Kairi ride line, as they're going to go ahead and discard a Eureka for ride and get it right back. One of the best targets you can for that effect. Very, very nice. We're going to see a no guard come here, as we're just going to exchange 1 damage here, PG to Kairi. The henceforth out of the deck for Beans, who only, I'm pretty sure, as most Eva players do, only play a single copy of that order, right? Granted, it does not matter in this matchup whatsoever, as Kairi does not retire. There is like maybe one possible way that Kairi can actually retire, but I don't think that'll actually come up today, so I think we'll be okay. So we got ourselves another torrential energy resource here. Trying to see if we can get the Imagar into play here, but see if that's even a possibility. Sorry, messing around with the audio a tiny bit. Put that around there. That should be okay like that. Nope. It's like you know, when you're taking a shower and you turn the faucet a little bit to make it hot or cold, and it just like goes crazy. It's not even like even or easy to do, right? But all right. Anyway, we are going to get the Immigrant from this, as we're going to see a grade 2 upgrade actually come out here. Looks like we're going to try and get a little bit of pressure here. I'm going to go ahead and swing. See the Franchette Pink go into damage, which has been unfortunate, but 1 out of the game is not too bad. And we're also going to take the swing from the upgrade here, losing a Yuika. So a lot of big key pieces out from Lucky's arsenal here. Of course, we don't have any drop recursion, but we do at least have the Presia, which is going to allow us the EB3 draw 1 on this card here, which is at least hopefully going to draw us into our pieces. Kyrie's unfortunately it's rather piece reliant deck because you need so many things to go right. Of course, once you have the pieces on board, you can just bounce them back to your hand and constantly recycle them, right? But you have to actually get access to them, and also of course not lose a game while you're holding on to all these pieces. As you're going to see, a Franchette Pink and a Presia come down here. Able to get 4 different units with different names. So the Franchette Pick is going to be able to bounce something. As we're going to see the Vanguard swing in, guarding for an OT to pass. Going to get a front trigger to the whole front row here. That's going to be able to push a lot of damage here, depending on what Beans has in their hand here. This is now going to be 20k. And then the Franchette column is actually going to be 33 because he's going to get 5k. And an additional 10k from the front here. So we're going to be able to guard the 20k attack here. And then we've got a massive 33, which Beans is going to take and unfortunately check a heal trigger that does not go off. Franchette is going to allow Lucky to bounce back the Presia, and then Eureka is going to let you Soul Blast to bounce the Franchette Pink back to hand. So we're in a pretty solid position here for, I want to say, both players. We have the Immigrant for Eva. We have the Counter Blast where we can use her skill. We also see the blue research. I forget the actual name of it, but we're gonna see that come down, and it's gonna give us a grade 3 upgrade since it was played by an effect. We are going to be able to get the critical effect as well, so that's gonna be able to push a good bit amount of pressure. And that's kind of the big issue with Kyrie right now, is that she needs to seal her pieces early game so that her turns can go smoothly after that. But if you do something like go second, your opponent is just able to pound on you, and you probably have to use a lot of your pieces to guard with, and then not be able to actually use them for your following turn, which is extremely rough, right? But we're going to see a pretty typical Eva turn here. We're going to see the Immigrant come out. Immigrant is going to allow Beans here to skip ride into the Poison Paradise Eva. Of course, since they rode this turn, they do not get the Persona ride, but they do get to add an order from deck to hand, and of course use the effect of the Poison Paradise Eva, right? As we've already used the effect of the normal Eva to scry from the top 3, add something to hand, put the rest on the bottom. We don't have any counterblasts, but we don't need that thanks to the Poison Paradise Eva. So we're going to go ahead and swing in here with the grade 2 Obscurade, who's going to get overcalled here, as we have the Radobilio in the back, who just makes a huge column with the Obscurade here. And we don't have the new grade 2 research in the order zone, so at least we don't have to worry on the lucky side getting any additional power here. But we're going to see the Eva swing here, binding the original Eva, and this is a super special Eva. As you can see here, is actually signed by the Different Fights himself. So this is a 1-of-1 Eva, but we're going to see that call out and obscurate here. So of course, since it's called by an effect, it also has the crit as well. So we have 2 rear guards with crit coming at the face here. We're going to see a no guard, and we're actually going to see a heal here, but Lucky is at 2 damage, so we're not going to see it proc, which is a bit unfortunate. Lucky is going to be able to get a critical trigger as a defensive here, which is going to help block some of these numbers here. I did not see the Soul Blast for the Radobilio. Oh no, here we go. Here's the Radobilio. There's the Soul Blast as well to make this a lot more threatening, a lot harder to guard. So we might see Lucky go to 5 here, because I believe it's already going to get plus 10. The Radobilio, judging by the number of orders that we have in the order zone, which is going to make this really hard to guard when you're on grade 2. While that defensive trigger sure did help to an extent, but getting smacked to 5 right now, our opponent's still at 1, is really tough. And that's why to this day, I still believe Eva is one of the best decks in this format. Even has, for the most part, really decent matchups into quote-unquote the best deck, or the actual best deck. No quotes needed in Buff Saga, but we'll see what Lucky decides to do here, they do have the Presia, which they could forgo the discard and try to maybe draw into something to guard with if they want to try and gamble that way. Otherwise, they do have the capability to just take this. But they're actually going to go ahead and use the PGE, to discard a Persona Ride, which is really tough, as Beans is going to go ahead and rewrite and pass turn here. Losing the Persona Ride absolutely sucks, but you definitely don't want to be at 5 damage. But depending on how you build Kairi, you can maybe do something with the Counterblast. It really depends. Kairi is very, very flexible. Very much, I would say, unsolved as well. For this tournament, we are allowing the use of the Festival Collection. So you might see the Ace unit come through, you might see the Lyrical Dragon come through. Probably not. I might be the only one that's actually playing that thing, but we'll see. As we're going to go ahead and use the top idol Aqua to add a Presia from the top of the deck and then trigger Presia to draw 1 here. I wonder what their other options would have been. Presia is decent to have, but you probably would have liked maybe something a little bit else. But let's see what board we can set up here, as we're actually going to play the Mermaid set order variant. Okay, so this is a grade 3 set order that you can actually search off with one of your mermaids, but it makes it so that all of your grade 3 or less mermaids can actually have boost. So you can just have a full board of grade 2s and grade 3s and they can boost. And they're actually going to call the Howlet here. Thanks to Beans being on grade 3 now, Kairi's going to be able to give every unit that is played this turn an additional 5k, or played from hand this turn an additional 5k. Eureka, when your opponent's on grade 3, if you play something in the same column, she gets an additional 5k herself. Franchette's also going to get 5k on place, and on attack, she's going to get an additional 5k because there are, well, when we play one more unit, there we go. There are 4 different units with different names, right? So this is very interesting. The Mermaid order doesn't really matter in this situation, to be honest, because the 2 Howlets that are in the background, they already get boost. They get 5k on place if you have a Kairi, and they also get the boost ability. So playing the order is just kind of getting it out of your hand. Unless you want to use the second effect, which allows you to Soul Blast 1, choose a unit, I think specifically a Mermaid, and give it 5k. But we'll see how this goes here, right? We only have 2 cards left in hand here. We are going to be able to get an additional drive, so we get at least 3 cards back, and we're going to be able to at least bounce 1 card from Kairi, 1 card from Franchette, and 1 card for Eureka, so we can maybe end our turn here with like, what, 8 cards? But we'll see what happens here. Plus, we also have the 2 Howlets, right? Which we might have to activate both of them here to get Soul and Draw. So we're going to see a attack here with the Presia being blocked by the Ops grade 2. Then we have the second Presia swinging in here. I'm sorry, the Franchette swinging in here. We're going to see the Guardian or Persona shield ticket being used here to guard that attack. We're going to see Kairi now swinging. She's going to use her effect to counterblast 1, bounce 2 rear guards to hand, and then call 2 rear guards. Just going to basically stand those units essentially, right? Going to call those same units back. I'm guessing whatever they have in hand is maybe another Persona Ride or something like a trigger. We're going to see a critical trigger here as Beans is going to no guard here. We're going to give power to Presia, crit to the Vanguard, and then we're going to see the blanking on her name on Penelope, as well as the order. So not a crazy hand. We're into this turn, as we're going to see, unfortunately, the Persona Ride robot or the Pride Cycler robot and Immigar go to damage here. Then we have ourselves here a sizable column here from Franchette Pink. So she's going to get the +5 because you have different grades. And that is going to be a pretty decent 28, I believe. No, 33. Yes, because the extra 5k from Kairi. Okay, so we're going to be able to guard that. We're going to use Franchette's skill to bounce Eureka, and then with Eureka bounce Franchette. And then we're going to swing in with this column here, which is just going to be, I believe, what, 30 or 40? Nothing too crazy. We're going to go to 4. Then we're going to go ahead and, with Kairi's skill, bounce the Presia. We're going to counter blast 1 here to put the Howlet into Soul. She allows you to bounce a unit and draw 1. And then we're going to, instead of, I think you can bounce up to 1. So we could have used the other one if we wanted to, but then we'd have no counterblast going into the next turn. So fair enough. As we go into Beans' turn here, let's see what we can do here. We're going to go ahead and immediately play the Blue Research. The World is a Blue Research, or World is a Research Lab. I forget what this thing is called, but something around those lines. To look at the top 5 here, see what we can call out from this. Of course, we'd want to see something like the Ops grade, but instead we're going to get a Radiobilio, which is, pretty decent. And we're going to be able to, of course, bring back the Immergar here. Okay, I had a bit of a stutter, but we're good now. We're going to go ahead and counterblast one for Eva skill. Now we can look at the top 4 cards of the deck here in order to see if there's anything that we can add to hand. Either another PG or maybe a freezing wave, perhaps. We're just immediately going to go and use the Immigar here to get the Poison Paradise Eva, as well as the Grade 2 Research, the new one that allows you to recycle your units. Unfortunately, it's gonna have to stay in hand because you're desperately gonna need this next turn, so you can Soul Blast, put your one of your two copies of Poison Paradise back into the deck, so you can activate the skip ride again next turn, which means we have a dead card in hand since we already played in order this turn. We do have access to the Populate, which is a promo that allows you to get an order from drop. So there's a possibility that we can maybe get that. We're actually going to play the Ace unit, use the Ace ability of the Ace unit to EB3, and look at the top 7. I believe add something to your hand. These are the brand new cards that came out in Festival Collection. So I'm not super familiar with their effects. I know that there are you can only use one card that has the Ace unit ability in your deck, and you can only use a unique skill once. This one just says on place from hand, look at the top 3, sorry, not top 7. Choose a card, put it into your hand, and if you have 2 or more, you look at the top 5 instead. So basically, you just get to use Eva's skill again. Pretty good. Not gonna lie, that is pretty solid. Right, we're gonna go ahead and swing in here with the Wendelborg, I believe it's called, which is going to be, I believe, 25 because it gets an additional 5k when attacks a grade 3, and we have Persona Ride active. We're gonna be able to guard that for 28. Then the Eva is going to go ahead and swing in here, buying the original, super original, different fight signed Eva here to call out another grade 2 upgrade from the deck here. This one is going to be able to get the crit. And the Ace unit on the other side also, since your opponent's on grade 3 or greater, gets an additional 5k. And you can rest a set order to give it another 5k. On top of this, it gets 5k on place. We haven't seen... maybe misplay here on Bean's part because I haven't seen him rest his orders, but we are going to check Front and Freezing Wave, which means Freezing Wave is kind of useless because we did not end up resting, Soul Blasting and resting the orders to make Freezing Wave active, which is a bit unfortunate. We can rest one extra order here with the robot, which we will here, to give it another additional 5k, so it should be swinging for 35 here, 10 from Persona, 15 from its effects that give it 5k each time. And then we're also going to use the Red Obilio here to even power that up by another 15 here. So that is going to be, I believe, 50, swinging in 1 damage. And you're going to have to contest that Ops grade who can swing in 4 games. So very tough position here for Lucky, having to deal with this insane crit pressure. So let's see how he responds to this. He doesn't have an insane hand as we saw from the drive checks, right? I think the only thing they really got out of that was the crit that they already pretty much used to guard, right? The only other thing they got was a Penelope, as well as a set order they can't do anything with. So they're just going to go ahead and end up taking the attack using the press and not getting anything out of it, possibly. Then we're going to see the Obstacle Grade swing in here, Soul Blast 1 to get to what I think is usually like 61, but we do have the PG in hand, discarding the extra set order. As we're going to go ahead and ride back down to the original Eva and pass on turn to the Kyrie player. See if we can at least get the Persona Ride in hand, then we can maybe get something going, maybe make use of this set order that we played, perhaps. But we did have to discard that, so it looks like we're not going to be able to get the Persona Ride here, which is super tragic that they had to discard that Persona Ride on Beans' first grade 3 turn. So the most we can do now is call out the Eureka. We do have, I believe, the French at Pink in hand. We do have a Penelope in hand. And we do have a Howlet in hand. So we do have units, and we can make a pretty reasonable, you know, attack pattern and board out of this. But we'll see if this even ends up working out. Because I don't see that ending the game here. Granted, Beans is at 4. So with triple drive, checking something pretty nutty, we might be able to end the whole game here, right? We'll see what we can do here, as I will very quickly check on the time that we have left in the round. We currently have, for today's tournament, 17 players, by the way. We have 14 minutes left in this round, just so you guys are aware. I'll see if I can get a breakdown of the decks when this game ends, but I'm being a king of multitasking here right now. Alright, so we're gonna play the Howling Behind the Vanguard, which is interesting. I guess we have another booster. No, we're gonna play the Penelope in the back. She does get 5k. We're gonna play the French at pink in the front, and we're gonna call down the over trigger. That makes a little bit more sense now. I see. So we're gonna actually call down the over trigger. 1 card left in hand. We got the yellow over trigger here. It will, of course, be able to be bounced back to hand, but unfortunately, you gotta do what you gotta do here. We're gonna swing in here. Over trigger is at least 10k, thanks to the 5k from Kyrie. So it's gonna become 28k swing, thanks to the power the Eureka gets when something is played, and because it was played this turn, right? French at pink is here, is going to swing in here for pretty nice numbers. We're going to go ahead and take that. Beans is going to check a defensive here, which is going to make the guarding the rest of this turn super easy, thanks to the fact that we managed to get the or rather, Lucky wasn't able to get the Persona right here. We're going to go ahead and bounce the same units back to hand, and they're going to restand the Franchette and the Penelope column here, thanks to the effect of the Penelope. We're going to swing with the Vanguard with 3 drives. We do have Beans at 5 here, so we're actually going to hard guard here, using the Obstacle grade for 2333, thanks to the trigger 4358, I believe that might be. There's no team play, obviously, because we see it on the board here, and we're gonna check a bunch of blanks and a heal that gets denied because of Beans going to 5. Whether that was on purpose or not, the heal block is successful. That is a bit tragic. That would have been great for Lucky, but it is not going to work out here, as we're going to see this over trigger swing in one more time here. I believe it gave the power of the heal was given to it, so it is now actually 38. So we're going to guard here 33, and then we have the 10k, so 43 from the trigger. We're going to bounce the over trigger to hand, so we do have at least that to guard with for next turn. And then we're going to see the French and pick column here, which is going to get PG'd here, discarding here the Populate, which is the promo mount that I was talking about that allows you to add set orders from drop back to hand. So I guess we're going to use Kyrie's skill to bounce Eureka. Then with Howlett's skill, or Franchette, we're going to bounce Eureka. Then we're going to bounce Penelope with Kyrie's skill, and then Howlett is going to go to Soul to draw 1, bounce the Franchette. And unfortunately, we just have a bunch of 5Ks in hand here, minus, of course, the over trigger, which is essentially just a 1-card PG at this rate, right? We'll see how this goes. As we see the grade 2 research that we grabbed last turn come into play here. Of course, that's going to allow us to then play the Imigar from the drop here. As I'm going to restart this song, because it is so hard to find actual royalty-free music. And I'm probably going to still get dinged for this song, but it is what it is. Right? We're just going to power through it. Alright, so let's see. We're going to use Eva's skill, I'm assuming, here to look at the top 5 cards of the deck here. Add 1 to hand, put the rest on the bottom in any order. Not that it matters, because we will be going back into the deck multiple times here. We'll Soul Blast 1, put the Poison Paradise Eva back on the bottom of the deck, then go ahead and go into Imigar here to get that Poison Paradise. See if we have any orders left. We do have another grade 2 of this grade 2 research. I think it's like Imprisoning Past. Very powerful order that makes this deck do wonders. I wish every deck can get a card like Imprisoning Past, which isn't even like insanely powerful. It just helps the deck so much. So I guess we're getting a trigger count here to see, possibly determine what is left in the deck, or more specific, figure out the hand, because we do know a giant portion of Lucky's hand, considering they bounced, I think, like 4 cards last turn, and they had 3 drive tracks. So we know 7 of, I think, 9 of Lucky's cards in hand, if you were paying attention here. So we're going to use, I guess, maybe the Imprisoning Pass to give power to the Eva here. Can't really tell. But, see if we can get another rear guard here, so we can at least try and get the 4 attacks here. We're going to go ahead and finally, we're going to be able to rest our orders here, Soul Blast Owl and Immigar, to give an additional 5k to a glitter unit. Unfortunately, our only glitter unit is going to be the Eva. And we have the one standing set order, which is very important, because we can use that for the Ace unit. But unfortunately, we cannot get an additional unit, so we're just going to swing with Vanguard, and we're going to call an Obfuscate from drop this time. That Obfuscate is going to get 5k more than likely from the set order here. But we'll see what happens here, as Eva's going to swing in with a minimum of 33k, I believe, right? 10 from Persona, 5 from her effect, and 5 from the blue research here. As Lucky is kind of in a rough spot. I feel like you just have to take this Pray for No Crits, because the 61 is going to require that overtrigger that barely guards it, by the way, by 63. It's going to require that overtrigger that you have in hand. Otherwise, you can slap down all of your units to do like a 2 to pass or something like that. But honestly, I think your best bet is just taking this, hoping for no triggers, and then hard guarding the other 2 attacks, right? Or at least hoping for not a critical trigger specifically. Then you can actually possibly survive this. Of course, if you hit your own heal trigger, that would be great as well. Of course, it will not be active right now. So we're actually going to use probably the only triggers we have in hand here to guard for 43. Put the Eureka in for 48. Maybe not. So right now, this is a 1 to pass. So yeah, we're going to throw in the Eureka for a 2 to pass here. I feel like, I don't know, it's tough here. But yeah, the crit power Vanguard, we're not going to get it. Okay, so nope. Lucky did the right call here. We'll see if we can survive here, unfortunately, but we'll see. We do have the overtrigger in hand, and we have to push 2 damage. So this is going to go ahead and swing in here. I'm pretty sure this is like 61, maybe 71. Pretty sure it's 66 actually, because of the 5k thanks to the grade 2 set order, assuming we didn't give it to the Eva. The imprisoning pass here, because it is 15. Red ability as a booster plus 8, so that's 23. Yeah, we're gonna throw this down, so it looks like it's probably 66, since the 63k shield here is not enough. Yeah, so we're gonna guard that for 68, and then we're gonna go ahead and swing here. Use this effect here to rest the set order. And get a little bit of power here. We can easily just take this, right, and pass into turn. As we're going to see Lucky hopefully maybe have a Persona right here, but we know Beans is unfortunately in a really good spot. Deck is very thin. Freezing Wave in hand. Set orders rested, right? So it's going to take a lot here for Lucky to break through. He does have the pieces in hand to do it, minus the Eureka, I guess. But that's about it. We're going to see the Penelope here come down. Oops. She's going to go ahead and come down here. What else can we throw out here? We're going to put her back. She does work as a booster thanks to the set order. We're going to call the Precia here. No Persona Ride again, unfortunately. We're going to call another Penelope, okay? They are, you know, solid 20k boosters. And then the French at pink to the front row. So you can use her effect to bounce stuff. Fair enough, fair enough. Doesn't make a difference where you play that. As long as French is in the front row, she can use her effect, right? Everything else is kind of redundant because they don't have any effects they can activate that need to be in the front row. So we're going to go ahead and swing in here with this column, which is going to be 35, I believe, which shouldn't be too rough. But, sorry, I don't know how to turn off the Discord notification for when people join, because I'm also in the same call as everyone else. I'm deafened, thankfully, so I can't hear anyone chattering. But when they join the call, you are going to hear that beep for a bit. Just letting everyone know they have a 5-minute warning before this round ends. Okay, so we're seeing the French at pink swing here. We're going to see the Vanguard swing here. We're going to bounce. It doesn't really matter which side we bounce here. We're going to CB1 for that effect to call them back out, and then use the Soul Blast 1 here to stand the other column, right? Both of the Penelopes can do the same thing, so it doesn't really matter. Unfortunately, I think you only if you're on grade 4, you get to get 5k. But you cannot do that because you're not on grade 4. And I feel like they could have very easily made this deck count as grade 4, but okay. Finally, the Persona Ride is going to come through. We're going to key a critical trigger here. Okay. Power crit, I assume, is going to go to the French at pink. And we're going to see a Howlet. I'm assuming a PG was thrown and we pitched the Fire Regalis, right? Then we're going to swing in here with another swing here. This should be another 35 here. We should be okay here. I think we have enough to guard this, right? We have 43. And then this, we just use Freezing Wave. This is, yeah, freezing wave. So we have 20, 30, 40, 50 here. So we're just freezing wave for like 63 or something like that. Friendship bounce Precia, Kyrie bounce Penelope, doesn't really matter which one. And then that's all we can do right now, unfortunately. I do wonder how the state of the game would have changed if we maybe double drew with the Howlet, or if we immediately went to 5. Right, I do wonder how that would have affected the game if we made those choices early on. But we'll see how this goes here. As Beans goes ahead and stands. Let's see what we can do here. We're actually going to rest the torrential energy research to get the populate into the order zone. Populate's effect allows you to add an order back to your hand, which is interesting. By I think binding it or removing, should be binding it. But I know he has the blue research, or not the blue, the imprisoned past in hand, right? So unless he discarded it, but yeah, we're actually going to get the henceforth set that, use that to get the Immigar here. We're going to use the skill of the Eva here to CB1. Look at the top 6 perhaps. And we're probably using the henceforth to put it back into soul after this is done, because we don't have any soul and we need to soul blast 1 for Poison Paradise. So I think we maybe soul blast it out for the freezing wave, right? Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and use henceforth to put that itself into soul, countercharge 1, get an obscurate from drop back into hand, and then we are going to finally be able to use the imprisoning pass here, soul blasting out the henceforth, putting the Poison in Paradise here back on the bottom of the deck. Then finally we can go with Immigar, put it into soul to ride said Poison in Paradise, shuffle. Probably don't have any orders left here, so we're just going to shuffle our nifty little stack of triggers here, and see if maybe we drew for turn a unit that we can go ahead and swing in with to end the game with here, but we'll see. We're going to draw for Persona right here. I will say, if Lucky survives this turn, ooh, as we see the Fire Regal is getting removed from drop to activate its actability to look at the top 5. Look at the whole deck, actually. Call up to 1 card, and if you don't, you draw 1. So we're going to have 4 cards left in deck after this. Very risky by Beans, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. I guess they maybe chose not to draw. They're actually going to put another Immigar into soul. I don't know where that, or maybe they called that from the top 5. I just didn't see it because it was behind Vanguard. Put that into soul to use double red ability here, I guess. And we're going to call the obfuscate from hand that we got with the henceforth. So we're going to go ahead and slap that down as well. And we'll see how this works out for Lucky. Unfortunately, I don't think they drew any extra cards. Again, we do know their whole hand for the most part. Beans only has 4 cards left in deck. Only needs 2 to be able to do anything here. Sorry, I just realized the audio is always so low. It's a pain in the butt. No matter what I do, the audio is super low on the music. It's never even. But yeah, if we do see Lucky survive this turn, they should be able to basically close it out after this, right? Because they do have the Persona right, assuming of course they have the cards in hand to do anything next turn. So it's for your game. We're gonna use the Precia here to draw and then guard with a crit. And we're gonna go ahead and call Obscurate from drop. This Obscurate will have the crit, and Eva will drive check here, and I don't know if over trigger is live or not. Freezing wave, and no, just a crit. So we have 2 cards left in the deck here, and unfortunately we're going to go ahead and take this as the over trigger was the next card. Congratulations, being very, very well fought by both of our players here. So we're gonna take a quick little break as we get ready for the next round, and I'll be right back with you. Should be fun. It always comes home late. I'm home.
Oi.
Where have you been? Father. It's useless to look for Ayase. She will never be inside the Nijo house territory again.
そんな
No way. She deserves it. Teaching my son something as foolish as playing cards and continuing despite my prohibition. Such a deceitful person is unnecessary in the Nijo household.
なんだ
What's with that face? It's all thanks to Ayase. I was able to continue those unpleasant lessons because Ayase introduced me to Vanguard. I made friends because of her.
くだらん
So what? That thing is just a game. It doesn't change the fact that it has had a bad influence on you.
ヴァンガードは遊びなんかじゃない。
Vanguard is not just a game.
ほ
Then, can you prove that?
それは
That's... I heard you're in a tournament? What? This is your last chance. Enjoy it while you can. Vanguard is not just a game. I don't want to quit. I don't want it to end. Almost to the finals.
やるわね。
Impressive. To be able to bring those guys together. You wasn't trying to bring them together or anything. Huh? Everyone's doing it for themselves. Of course, that includes me too. So that's why you became a pro. Huh? I see. That's how it is. Then why don't you find out for yourself? Whether you can make it as a pro or not, you're a worthy opponent. I'll give it my all.
勝てる。デッキがそう言ってる。絶対負けないわ。いや、ダメージチェック。
I lost.
あのさ、
Can I ask you one thing? What?
なんで？
Why do you want to become a pro? It might be me trying to challenge myself. I just want to see how far I can go. And if you can't make it?
ね
If you fall to the bottom, what will you do? Just as I showed you in this fight? Or just as you showed me in this fight, I'll keep climbing back up, no matter how many times. As long as I don't admit defeat, I won't lose. Was a good
あ
fight.
りがとう。
You have my thanks.
強いね。
I didn't know you were such an amazing fighter. I still have a long way to go. What an incredible turn of events! The V-Nation Regional Tournament Block B Finals have come down to Omni. All right, let's get to the next round. Sorry, let's get some music here. Hope you guys are doing well. So we have ourselves here Varga versus Egg Lima. I know the square is completely wrong. Just ignore that it is written in like what translation for like English for it was, so don't worry about that. But all right, let's see how this goes here. So we have Arkwright as you start, of course. Unfortunately, in this tournament, we are following the English regulations, right? So that means we have no restrictions for Bat, no restrictions for Bob, no restrictions for Raziel, right? We are in a wild wasteland here where you can just do whatever you can, whatever you want, according to the English Bushiroad. right? So we're gonna see no restrictions, so we have full power bat here as we see Varga right up to their Varga starter. No Varilla side in here. So we're going to go ahead and draw from their cyclers. And let's see if they have maybe the Shenri here, which is really the only opening play that Vargas typically can or usually does at this point in the game, so early on. Of course, seeing the arc right here is a bit misleading because you don't know what's going to happen. We haven't seen anything that lets you think that it is bat, unless of course you saw the torrential energy research and you can tell from that. As we're actually going to make a column of Shinri here. Check a critical trigger here. Very nice. Put a set order. And the Jumbo Crusher to damage. No question whether or not this is bad or not at this point. As we're going to swing with the column of Shinri here, immediately go to 3, activate the effect of Shinri to put herself into soul and draw 1. We have really no fear of getting damage denied here, for the most part, I don't think, because we're already pushed our opponent to 3, and we can actually guard the Shinri if we really needed to here. We're going to see a heal get discarded here, as we're going to ride into the grade 2 arc right. I was going to say Eva, but we're going to see this come and get us a torrential energy research that we can go ahead and grab here. Look at the top 5 again for monsters to add to hand, 1 to drop. Let's see what we can figure out here. As I will, once again, check to see how the audio is doing on the stream. I can't believe I used to do this stuff. I mean, I shouldn't say I used to do this stuff all the time. I did this like once for Vanguard 0 where I hosted a tournament, and while on stream I was talking to the stream, and at the same time I was managing a new tournament at the same time. So basically the same that I'm doing now. I'm doing 3 things at once to an extent, but we're going to see here what looks like maybe a whiff. I looked away for a second as we're going to see a bunch of set orders and junk get shuffled back into the deck here. And let's see what we can do here. I know, actually we did see a monster. Okay, so we have the I'll be honest, I don't remember that thing's name, but we're going to see the Arkwright, quote-unquote, promo monster go into the order zone. As we're going to swing here with the Arkwright. I guess we are swinging into the Shinri here as kind of expected here. We're going to see nothing from Twinkie here, so we're going to see if we can maybe do a little bit more damage here from Lynx very easily. Push even more damage here at 0 damage themselves. Try not to get OTK'd. Very easily can get pushed to 5. As long as you survive with the Varga, you can very easily clap back if your opponent's already at 4 to 5 themselves, right? So this might be a very quick game. We're going to unfortunately soul charge a heal here, calling out the grade 1 from the right line. We're going to go ahead and switch those 2 so we can activate the effect of the Shinri to put herself back into soul, or into soul, not back. That was a different Shinri that went into soul in order to draw 1, since while we have not played in order, Twinkie does not have any rear guards, so Shinri's effect will activate, giving her 5k. We're going to swing with the Vanguard here first for 10 and 1 drive. He's going to take the damage, forgetting that he has to do the drive check first, but thankfully there was no trigger, so it doesn't make a difference. Then we're going to swing here with the rear guard, which is going to be, again, the same column here of 21 here. They're going to guard here for 23. As the Shinri will finally go to soul to draw 1 card here, and we have Twinkie at 4 damage, and we have Lynx at 0. 2 set orders already in damage for the Lemme players. We're actually finally going to get the Texan to discard here, go into the bat himself. Then we're going to go ahead and get our energy, but let's go ahead and see which one is going to go first. We're actually going to trigger, I would say Tecton, possibly? No, we're actually going to trigger the Lemme here, reveal the top 5 or 7. It's been so long. Yeah, top 5. Take any set orders. Only 2 of them here. So we have the loading dock. It's not loading dock. That's the term I use in my tier list. That's why I have that in my head. We're gonna use the dock here, as well as the hollow. I'm blanking on these card names, but the set order for Orpheus that gets you a Shadow Army token. So we're gonna put that into the order zone. We're gonna have a total of 4 orders after this. I don't think that goes to hand. That goes to the yeah, that goes to the order zone. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna go ahead and put that in that. Yep. We're gonna draw 1 for the docks effect being placed, and then we're going to go ahead and call a single Shadow Army token for the other one. And then we're going to go ahead and activate Tekton here, who's also on the stack here. When it was discarded, you can look at the top 5, choose up to any set order from there and add to your hand. We're going to go ahead and grab the Gravidia Neatness Meteor Shower. I believe that's what that's called. I think I have that one. That one's named correct, right? As we're going to see a lot of shuffling and a pretty long turn here, as that's going to be added to hand. The only real important thing is here is whether or not we have access to the Mo Flash to take all those orders that we have in our hand and put them into the order zone, as we're going to rest. Okay. We're going to put Tekton, I guess, into the order zone. Then we're going to go ahead and use the effect of this monster to call it out with Soul Blast, and then we're going to go ahead and act that Tekton to hand, and then we're going to go ahead and discard that same Tekton to then activate the effect because it was discarded, and you pay the cost of discard. You take something from the order zone, add it to your hand, and discard 1 for that monster, which allows you to trigger Tekton one more time here. And looks like we don't have a lot. I guess we're trying to find the best target here. Yeah, okay, so we're actually going to grab here the Blue Research, which typically you cannot play if your Vanguard is not Eva, but you can cheat it into the order zone because you cannot play it, but you can put it. And it says when it is put, that's when you look at the top 5. Sorry, I am drinking water on the side here to make sure I do not pass out. It is pretty hot because I'm locked in my office, so I'm not rude to the people that live in this house and they don't have to hear me talk. So we're going to play the Neatness Meteor Shower from hand here. Soul Charge 1 when it's effect. Very interesting. We're going to use its effect to put Tekton into the order zone, resting the Tarantula into research. Then we're going to Soul Blast 2 to call out this monster, add Tekton to hand, and pay the cost of discarding because you added something. And then we're going to go once again look at the top 5 here for yet another set order. We're going to grab a Torrential Energy Research here. So Agnima does have to put cards with different names, I believe, and so does Mo Flash. They all have to be different names. Not all. We'll get to that when we get to that, right? So let's see what we can do here. All, again, matters whether or not we have the Mo Flash or not. Looks like we don't have a Jumbo Crusher, but we might just be playing these guys out to get their effects through, right? But we'll see here. No Mo Flash. We're just going to go straight to battle. Yikes, Aruni. So, alright. That is perfectly fine. So, this is the Salvarade. That's right. That's his name, Salvarade. Okay. So, we're going to swing in here just a measly 15. And we're going to guard this attack with the Foul Heart here. Vanguard's going to swing for 13 Twin Drive. I think we forgot that we need to add another extra 5 to guard the 15. Yeah, there we go. Now we can go ahead and swing in here with the Adlima, who says at the end of the battle, it will, you target set number of orders in your order zone. At the end of the battle that it attacks, and if you choose 3 or more that have different names, you choose a rearguard, stand it. And if you did 5 or more, you stand the Vanguard. It gets plus 10k, but minus 2 drives, and then all the cards you chose go back into your order zone, right? So it does give you an additional rearguard and Vanguard swing, but we're going to see Tekton and a Jumbo Crusher from the drive check, so nothing here. We're going to see Varga get the first damage. Finally here, it's going to be a draw trigger. What a first damage for Varga. And then now we can choose to put some orders back, but instead it looks like we're just going to pass turn here because not really going to be able to do much, especially after hitting that defensive and not really getting any numbers or anything here. A handful of possible triggers. No Mo Flash to be found here. So very, very tough time for Twinkie here. So we're going to go ahead and ride Varga, use the skill of the Boulder Axe to call itself out. We're also going to have the grade 1 of the ride line get an additional 2k, so it can actually swing in for 10k or boost for 10k here. But let's see. We're actually going to use the Radiance Calburn here to draw 2. And we are actually in base Varga Divine Skill range when your opponent is already at 4 damage, right? So we can actually activate Divine Skill here if we wanted to. And I feel like you might as well end this game as quickly as possible, especially when you're going up against Bat. Why dilly-dally? Why take any longer, right? We're going to call out a Shinri here, which is interesting, but fair enough here. As we go ahead and we're just going to take things nice and slow to an extent. Actually, no, we need an extra counterblast. That's right, for the Divine Skill, because the Varga's normal effect is CB1, but we need 1 more for the Divine Skill. That's right. Had we had the counterblast, we would do that, but Twinkie did not give them the counterblast. So they're gonna swing with the boulder axe to block that attack here, and then we're gonna see this swinging here for 18 here. See if we can guard this attack here. It's gonna be pretty rough. We're going to throw down why that much? Okay. Did I do them? Oh wait, no, it's 23. That's right, because Shinri got an extra 5k because we played an order this in. Okay, that's why they had to guard like that. Otherwise, the 23 would have been enough, but he has to throw down an intercept as well because it was going to get retired anyways. But they're going to swing with Varga, and I think this is going to be a no guard here, so one crit ends the game here. Here's Varga Rakshasa. Yeah. Varga Rakshasa here, and second check is going to be the critical trigger that might end the game here. Let's see if Twinkie can do anything here. There's the Mo Flash, and the last card is going to be the critical trigger, so that is going to be the game, regretfully. But yep, Bat I guess isn't so scary if you don't see the Mo Flash, right? No Mo Flash, no nothing, which is why, ironically, even though it did somewhat top recently, this deck is somewhat dead without the Mo Flash after getting hit in Japan. But yeah, them's the breaks. So we'll take a quick break, maybe a little longer than a quick break, as this game was a bit quicker, and then we'll get you guys round 3 when that starts. Till then, stay tuned. Hey, it's Curly, and today we've got ourselves set 5, Omniscience Awakening. This set has been highly sought after because of basically these two, not this guy, actually, this guy and this guy, as well as this lady, doing relatively well in Japan. Specifically, these two have been doing really well. So this is a new form of Raziel and a new form of Love Dress. Both of these are basically the top 2 decks currently out of this format. Varga is kind of just there, hasn't been really doing as well. Compared to them two, still a good deck, and Odium has just been a massive fan favorite since revealed and now in this set. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this set myself because there's not a lot in it for me personally, but hey, maybe this unboxing will change that. Let's jump into it. So let's take a look here. We've got ourselves. Alright, almost broke it. No, we pulled through in the end. So I've been told that they've changed this up a little bit. So we still don't have box toppers anymore. That's ended since BTO 3, I think was the last time we got box toppers, or BTO 2 definitely had box toppers. But they've added this little new pamphlet, right? So I'm always talking about these, watch Divine anime, blah blah blah. This one, instead of talking about the Divine anime, it has the usual Bang Dreams stuff and the store. They actually have a pamphlet here for Dear Days, which is actually coming pretty soon, so that's kind of cool. Advertising the game makes a lot of sense. My thoughts on the game aside, pretty cool to see that included. So we've got here the box and the packs. Let's put the right side here. I'm always losing track of which ones I decide to do, but we'll do the left side here first. Pack looks alright. It's got this sort of like orangey, I don't want to say yellow, I think it's more orangey, but kind of like yellow orange that I'm not a big fan of. Like, I love orange, but not so much this color per se. I originally thought these had, I think it might have been in Japan actually, that these actually had different designs, where we had Now and we had Akina with their respective units on the pack designs, but looks like for English they decided, screw you guys. But let's go ahead and open up this first pack here. Right, I could be wrong about that. I'll put a disclaimer somewhere if I looked into it and I was actually wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. That in Japan they had different sleeves, or sorry, not sleeves, designs for the packs, right? This product is also extremely different from the Japanese side as well, because there is, as is, you know, become customary, collab that came out in this set in Japan, but it is missing here in the English version. So this set has a lot of interesting things here. So starting first off, in the common slot, every nation got one of these anti-G-Zone cards. So we're gonna see a lot of comments that have this effect that just say If your opponent has a card in their G zone, this gets 5k attack and shield, and if they have a face-up one, it becomes 10k attack and shield instead, which is pretty interesting. We got some new hero support as well. Not the best, if I'm being honest, but it's, you know, it's cool, I guess. We got some support for Levidress as well as Lascadia for Starkea. Here's the Dark States version. The card looks really cool, really cool. And then we got ourselves this new common package. These are pretty good in sneak peeks. They changed the name, which kind of sucks because in Japanese the archetype name, I guess, was like Year in Bloom. Here it's Abundant Yields, which I guess is, you know, a little shorter, I guess. But we have 3 different cards called Abundant Yields, and they do 3 different things. This here is a grade 3 that says on place. You counterblast 1, look at the top 7 for 2 cards with Abundant Yields in their card name, including itself. Call it to rear, then shuffle your deck, and if you did 1 or less, you call up to 1 plan token. So you can technically play this with, and then, you know, play no other copies, play a plan token, or you can play this, call itself, and then CB1 again to thin out your deck even more, which is pretty cool. Then it says that when this stands by a card's ability, you can Soul Blast 1, choose one of your other rear guards in the one of your other rear guards with the Abundant Yields name in the same column as it, and stand it as well. So in something like Granfia, you can stand the whole column, which is kind of cool. And then here is the anti-G zone card. Or actually, no. We got another set of, this time it's actually rares, but we got another set of cards for every single nation. These are actually quick start deck boss support. So this one's for Triumph Dragon. They all say if you have Triumph Dragon, this gets intercept, can intercept in back row, and has 5k shield. So we're going to see a bunch of cards that have that same text as well. The other thing that we're going to be seeing as well is Blitz orders. There we go. That was not planned, but hey, I'm just that good. I'm nasty with it. So we have Blitz orders that fall into the same category as anti-G zone cards because they have some sort of generic Blitz order effect that they can be played in any deck for the most part. But then they also have an extra sort of bonus if your opponent happens to have a G zone, right? So we're going to see a lot of cards like this as well. Got some Greedon support. This is some Lascadia support. We got ourselves some Raziel support. I really won't see any play. We got ourselves these energy tokens, which really annoy me. Let's see if this is it. Okay. Yeah, because it's just the ones from set 2 over again. Nothing new, which is kind of lazy, but whatever. It is what it is. The design might be... No, I'm pretty sure it's the same exact design. Because I got a Hikari one, and I was really upset because I was just like, what the hell? Like, it made sense because she's, like, on the box, but in any case. Here's the Astrum card that we're talking about. And we're getting our first triple rare here in the Sequence Wizard. So this is for Liel, specifically Liela Morta. This says when this is placed on rear during the main phase specifically, if you have the grade 3 or greater Liel, you can CB1, look at the top 5, choose up to 1 card, grade 3 or less, call it, then shuffle. Then when a card is bound, another unit I should say, is bound by your Vanguard's ability, this guy gets 5k and you may Soul Charge 1. So it allows you to get a little bit of an extra soul, right? Which the deck typically suffers from for the most part. We got a pretty cool little guy here, Drag Ritter Moonstahar, who just gets 5k every time, for each, I should say, of your opponent's rear guards retired by your Vanguard specific effect, right? We got a new Eugene in this set. We got this really pretty girl, Helenis. Really pretty art for Eugene. This cool grade 3 here that can EV to get some shield. We got some Armajuster support. Here's the anti-G zone Blitz order for Dark States. Wow, we're gonna show a double rare for the bonding, or this is the bonding monster Jumbo Crusher, who is for the Egdoligma, Edligma here, right? Who actually becomes really viable and playable thanks to this card and one other card that's in this set. So this is our double rare here. This says that when it attacks, if you have the Egdoligma, or the bat as people call it, as your Vanguard, and if you have 3 or more different orders in your set orders in your order zone, you CB1, Energy Blast 3, draw 1. This gets 10k power at the end of the turn. Then if you have 5 or more, this gets a crit. Both of these are until end of turn, and the bat restands the rear guard, so you can restand this and do its effect again to get, you know, more crit and power and draw, right? Speaking of the devil, here is Eugene, right? We got ourselves the new Inferno of Duststorm Eugene. What a horrible box so far. There's a lot of big hits, and I gotta tell y'all, Eugene ain't it, unfortunately. So for one, Eugene is crazy because he's a double rare, which is insane on of itself, right? They printed a new boss, a new upgraded boss, but they made it a double rare. They have not done that ever. This is the first time, so whether or not we'll see that for other units, we'll see. But he did get the continuous text where he's counted as the original Eugene, which is kind of nice. He has the same effect where you rest 2 rear guards, retire a unit, but this time you retire all rear guards in a column, and you choose the column. So this gets around resist, I should say. Then it says that when it attacks a Vanguard, you CB1 Soul Blast 1, look at the top 5, choose up to 2 grade 3 or less cards from among them, call them each 2 of the same column, so you can't do 2 front rows, which is kind of whack. Shuffle the deck, then this unit gets 5k at the end of the turn, but if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, and they have 3 or more open rear guards, the units you called out also get 5k. So a lot of unnecessary restrictions for not a crazy effect, where a lot of other decks can kind of do that, but more. Even Barrow can do more than that with his one effect, and it's less cost, right? We got some Leadership Fellow support here. Here's the anti-G-Zone card for Lyrical, as well as the Blitz. We got another, like, common-ish package, budget package. I don't know what we really call them, but there's just 3 cards that work together. These are the Amicable Pastisseries, which are really cool because these are girls that were in the background of art. They're the girls from Sweet Sweet. They were in the back of a lot of in the background, I should say, of a lot of Medio cards. So it's cool that they finally got their own cards. This one, it says here, on play Soul Blast 1, look at the top 7, pick a card with the same archetype name as itself that's not itself, or a tight trio from among them, which is a normal order that they get. Add it to your hand, shuffle your deck. Wow. You're gonna get a double rare here in the Knights of Heavenly Impetus, Pricey. So when it is placed by the ability of Alden, choose one of the other units, it gets 5k to the end of the turn. Then if it was placed on a rear with a unit, it gets 10 instead of 5. And it also, if you have Alden, this gets 5k shield. So nothing really crazy. We're gonna get a triple rare here, which is really the only deck that I care about in this set, to be honest, personally. So this is Flam Glam Support Guitarist Grenadine. I love how they couldn't fit everything else, so they had to abbreviate it. But so this card is actually really good, and I've actually seen people mess around with this and another card and some other, well, no, this and the card from the previous set in like Chris Rain and stuff, which is pretty interesting. But this says when this is placed on rear from hand specifically, CB1, look at the same number of cards from the top of your deck as Flam Glams as you have. Choose a card from among them, put it in your hand, and shuffle. So that's pretty good. Then it says if you have a grade 3 or greater Flam Glam in its card name, you EB2 retire this, and it's you the player get the effect red text that all of your Flam Glams they get 13k base power instead as their original power, which is pretty good because it makes everything, you know, including the grade 3, the grade 0 that you ride into mid-battle, it'll have a lot more power than just its base 6k. Right, here's the first one of the anti-G-Zone Blitz orders that was revealed, the one for Storkia. Actually pretty good because it uses draw triggers. Here is a Petroka card, which is kind of nice. Here's the second of the trio. This one's like my least favorite of them, which sucks. I actually like this girl, I think, the most out of the 3 of them. But her effect is not so great. She says when she boosts one of her friends, Amicable Pastisserie, you mandatorily soul charge 2 and she gets 5k. So kind of sucks. We're gonna get ourselves the FR for the box, which is going to be the Academic of Records Written. So this is a grade 3 for Solarian. It's actually kind of good. So when this attacks, if a normal unit was revealed by the ability of your Vanguard with Solarian in its card name, you can have this get 10k to the end of the battle. And if you do, at the end of the battle, put this into soul. So it's a 23k attacker, and it just goes to soul for free, no cost. Then it says, if you have Solarian while this is in soul, you can bind this, and you can choose a normal unit from your drop, put it on the top of your deck. So it allows you to instantly get what you need. So may or may not be good when we get to the Solarian Mask next set. Here is the card for Marlene, and here is the card for Sarassel. Yep. But yeah, aside from Flame Glam, there's not really a lot that I care about in this set, to be honest. It's the first set, I feel like in ever, right? ever, that I just kind of almost wanted to skip. I just felt like, hey, I'm Curly, and today we're going to take your Stardust Blade trial deck and upgrade it into a more competitive build. So the Stardust Blade trial deck is an insanely good product I would pick up. If you're ever interested in playing Vanguard, I have an unboxing that you can take a look at here. But inside this product, these are the cards that you get to start, so you can actually right away take these cards. Otowa, thank you so much for today. Hey, Season 3 of the Vines has finally started, and we're going back to familiar territory with the brand new Deluxe, the third Deluxe in the continuity of the series. And naturally that begs the question, who is going to be the winner of this Deluxe? Or, even more so before that, who's actually going to make it out of the group stages? We've seen the fighters from Group A, Group B, and Group C, with Group D being determined later on. So today I'd like to obviously throw my hat into the ring and try and figure out who's gonna make it. Kinda. So just to quickly sum up, maybe not as quickly as the anime did, because they went at like a breakneck speed, but just to quickly sum up the format for this tournament, we have a total of 16 fighters, and they'll be split up into 4 different groups. So that's a total of 4 groups, 4 fighters within those groups. Those 4 fighters within those groups will all fight each other. They'll have a chance to fight each person in that group at least once. Once that is finally done, once all those rounds are done, they will take the top 2 players from each group, and those will advance into a single elimination tournament. In the case of a draw, we have a lucky draw where basically if the score is tied for a group, then they'll randomly pick one of them and those will advance. The anime did this very interestingly using Group C, which we'll get back to in a moment, so that's probably how that bracket's probably going to end up, or that part of the bracket's going to end up, but we'll see. And then finally we have the, final elimination tournament here where we have our top 8 players and they'll just compete single elimination. Whoever makes it to the end is going to be the winner of the third Deluxe. And what I'd like to do in this video is try to determine who these 8 fighters will be that will emerge out of these 4 groups. So I say 4 groups, but of course we only know what fighters are in these first 3 groups. We don't know what fighters will be in this group, which I think is very important to figuring out who's actually going to advance. It's pretty obvious to most of us that Michiru is going to be in that group, and he's probably going to advance from that group, with whoever the other person being the main points of contention for who is actually going to make it into this final tournament. But we'll touch on that in a bit. So we'll talk about the first groups before we get into the mysterious group D. But we can kind of take a look at the very first Deluxe and see how that, was structured, and you'll kind of figure out why I'm having so much trouble figuring out who's actually going to make it. Because in the first Deluxe, it was actually super easy to figure out how this tournament was going to advance, right? The only real one that was kind of up in the air were groups A and C. Group A is because we had 3 new characters, right? Or I should say we had 2 new characters and 1 main character, and only 2 of them can advance, so it was kind of questionable who was going to make it. And we have a similar situation, and basically the same exact situation actually, so we'll get back to that in a bit. But what ended up happening is that the brand new character ended up losing, right? And then Raika and Yu went on through, with this fella not making it through. In Group B, it was pretty easy because we made up these brand new two characters, unfortunately playing Eugene and Barrow. They go ahead and lose, and we have ourselves Mire and Urura making it through. Group C is kind of the reverse of A, where like we know Toya was gonna make it, and he did, but then we had these three essentially jobbers that we had no idea which one of them was gonna make it. But it ended up being the Lyrical girl lost because Lyrical didn't exist at this time, and then the Flagberg guy lost because it's Flagberg, and Heroes managed to make it through, I guess because he has the new deck, right? And then Group D, it was pretty obvious that Michiru was going to advance, and we were pretty sure that Tomari was just going to end up casting or shoutcasting the tournament, so she wasn't going to make it. And then that leaves us between Megumi and Haruka. Haruka isn't going to go anywhere because Gravidia is, shadow banned from that one time the deck was good. So we were left with just Megumi and Michiru to pass on through. And at first glance, you can kind of tell this really easily. And especially as the tournament actually went on, right? We kind of easily knew what was going to happen. But they've actually done a much better job this time around. So, while we try to figure out who is going to make it of these top two here, we have ourselves here Group A. So this is the first group. And we've already seen one of these fights so far, as of the point of recording this, where we've seen Mire beat Gui here, right? Pretty much, we're sure that Gui is not going to make it, right? And the reason I say that is you have to put two things into consideration. A lot of people, when they look at these types of arcs in an anime, they try to do like the power scaling argument or something like that, or something of that sort, where like, oh, this deck is better than this deck, this player is better than this player, whatever. None of that matters, right? This is an anime. None of that shit really matters. What matters is the story that can be told, right? That's the key part that you have to keep in mind. What deck is better than the other deck, that really is irrelevant for the most part, right? That does not matter in this anime world. What does matter is selling product. So we know that set 7 featured both the Surfo Seed, or whatever the hell the tree is called, the new tree, and the new buff Sagra, right? So we know it features that. They'll probably get support in set 7, which will presumably cover the rest of the half of the deluxe, but they're not really featured in that set. So a lot of people think that, but what's basically is going to happen is that Gui and Mire are going to lose. I can agree that Gui is definitely going to lose, right? I don't see him going anywhere. There's really no story for him to tell, specifically in the deluxe right now. Whereas like Mire, there is a lot of things that you could do with Mire as a character. The only reason people assume these two will pass on is because, one now is she's like the brand mascot at this point. She's the merchandise seller, right? She's a very important character to the plot. Granted, the plot of this season is kind of like up in the air because there's no real cohesive thing other than that there's a tournament and that's kind of it, but there's really nothing that drives any of these characters. Most of these characters, aside from like, I would like to win the tournament, not for like any reason specifically, right? There's not like, I have to win to get my grandpa's soul or whatever. It's just, it would be cool to top this tournament, and that's kind of it. Which is kind of what gives me some issues in trying to figure this out. So people expect now to make it through, and I can kind of agree with that. But then there's Erica. Erica's really interesting because she's a brand new character, technically. We have Liel on Morta, who is probably going to get a new form, we're assuming, in here set 7, right? That's kind of what I'm assuming. And there's maybe some stories to tell with this character, but like at the same time, does she really need to win the deluxe? Does her advancing through the deluxe really matter a lot for her as a character? I personally don't think so. So I could see a world where she like does a good bout and then she just loses, and we actually get Now and Guri to pass through, or sorry, Now and Mire to pass through. And I feel like we have a lot of potential with Mire because Group D, this mysterious group, we know Michiru is one of them, and the other person we don't know who it is. I have the usual two guesses people are guessing is it could be Danji, who returns, who happens to be Mire's brother. It could be Yu, who finally returns, who happens to have a lot of history with Mire. They even talked about it in the fight that these two characters had, right? Or it could be a brand new character that they can introduce that will either be some sort of like that's kind of my thought really, is I've narrowed it down. I don't think Danji's coming back. I think it's going to be Yu, or it's going to be some brand new character that is going to be the ultimate plot point, or what actually pushes the plot for this season. Be it because they're a villain or because of whatever. I'm assuming that's maybe the case. Maybe not. So I'm going to go ahead and say actually that, yeah, I'm going to go with my stomach and say that, or my gut, I don't know why I said stomach, that it's actually going to be Now and Meet It. A bit controversial here, but I'm going to go with that. It's probably going to be Erica, but we'll get into that in a bit. Then we have ourselves here Group B. Now, this is another one that people kind of see pretty easily, where they think Senka's not going anywhere, and they don't think Megumi is going anywhere either, right? They think that Sho, again, new character, Suzune, literally brand new character to this arc, right? She's going to make it on through. That happened with Taizo last time, and he actually didn't make it, right? But also, the series, the creators or whoever, they don't really seem to care too much about Lyrical Monasterio as a nation or anything like that. So we'll keep that in mind. But the thing that's very important is that we have a brand new Bladmire being sort of revealed or sneak peeked. Teased, that's what I'm looking for set 7, which again should encompass either the season 4 or the second half of the deluxe. We don't know how this is going to play out per se. In that season, that set, we actually know we're getting a brand new Magnolia, right? Along with a new Bladmire and a new Youthberg. We'll talk about Youthberg a bit later. So, by the fact that this is a card game anime and the main thing here is to sell card games, I would be more inclined to think that, you know, Sho and Megumi actually pass through, because we got to sell that product for this brand new two new decks, right? And the set actually, set 7 comes out in Japan the Friday, this Friday when I'm recording this, which is when episode 4 comes out, right? And we know that the episode 4 is going to be these two together. This is the only deck that hasn't been revealed. I'm sorry, it doesn't come out this Friday. It comes out next Friday, right? So by episode 4, by episode 5, we already have the set being revealed. Released. And we should start getting reveals for set 8 after that, right? So it's possible that, you know, we'll see the new Magnolia in the group stages here, right, in the early stages, and we'll save the new Bladmire for later on, just because of the fact that it's a brand new form of, you know, Bladmire. I feel like they're going to do something special about this card, right? He's just not going to show up and be like, oh yeah, I just have a new Bladmire, but they could very much do that. So here's my thought. Unfortunately, as much as I would like it, Senka's not going to make it. I don't think she's going to make it, right? I feel like there is a lot of story to tell with Megumi. This is her 3rd deluxe. This is a lot of Megumi cope, but just bear with me, right? This is her 3rd deluxe. She made it to the, top 8 the first time. I think she made it to the semis the second time. So I would not be surprised if maybe she either doesn't even qualify this time or actually qualifies again, right? Because she's like a veteran or whatever. And she's our only Blackout member. There is some talks about an original member or original leader of Blackout, right? Megumi's currently, I think, the 5th one, because they did that whole weird magical chairs thing or musical chairs thing where it was Danji who then gave it to Toya, who then gave it to Yuyu, who then gave it to Megumi. But there was apparently someone even before Danji. So there is some like thoughts that maybe that's actually Kage, the brand new character introduced this season, and having the first Blackout member or leader, I should say, take on the current one. That's a story you can tell. I can see that happening, right? Whether it's not actually Kage and it's actually maybe this new mysterious character, that's also a story you can tell, right? Whether it's actually Yuyu and we have Megumi job to Yuyu again, that's a story you can kind of tell. So I actually think that Sho actually doesn't really have anything he has like no skin in this game, right? He just wants to play Vanguard, and that's it. That's his only story. So like, yeah, Vanguard's fun. I want to play more Vanguard now that I'm not all emo and whatnot. And that's it. And he doesn't really have any like I don't see any stories with like any of the other characters that can make it into top 8, right? We've already seen him face Akina. We've already seen him face Kyon, right? They can maybe fight again, but spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure Kyon's not going to make it to top 8. So he doesn't really have any connections with like anyone else. So they have to kind of fabricate this. The only ones that he could have had a connection was with Suzune here, who that kind of would have maybe made sense, but they're already in the same group. So what's the point of them having a fight in the group stages and then having another fight in top 8? We'll get into that again in the next pairing. So I don't really see that there. I see some stories with Suzune making it through because she's a new character. They can maybe do some stuff with her and like her whole, whatever her whole feeling is, they can actually develop her as a character. And I see Megumi making it to top 8, having some match where it's just there for the fact of being there and she just loses. So I kind of see the story there, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to go with Megumi and Suzune here. Which is ironic because that's already 4 of the female characters into the top 8. But let's go into Group C. So this is the hardest group here. And it's actually a parallel of the very first deluxe, right? Because we have here this main character. We have literally Raika again with the same bracket as the main character. And I keep saying bracket, but technically it's the group. And then we have this brand new character that's been introduced for this tournament. Again, in the same bracket. And then Kyon is kind of just there to just take L's, unfortunately. Sorry for all the Kyon fans, myself included. So, yeah, this bracket is stacked. I keep saying bracket. Just when I say bracket right now, I mean group, right? It's stacked. And this is the hardest one to figure out for 2 reasons. There is a lot of stories to tell with Kage making it through. And there's a lot of stories to tell with Raika making it through, right? Because if Yu returns, there's a story there. There's a story of him versus Michiru, right? There's always been this, I don't want to say chemistry, but there's always been that connection between them. So there's a lot that can happen there. He can fight maybe Suzune, right? Because Suzune might maybe act similar to how Raika was originally. So maybe it can be kind of sort of like a mentoring kind of thing. That can maybe happen, right? Kage, I can see a match where, again, if he's supposedly the original leader of Blackout, him and Megami can have a match. He can have maybe his rematch with Akina, which again doesn't make sense because they're in the same bracket. I can see him and Michiru because he has a connection with Michiru, right? So there's a lot you can tell with these 2 characters making it through in the further bracket. There's not really much that you can actually do with Akina, which is the second thing. The story would have been like he gets his win over Kage, but they're in the same group here. So is he just gonna like fight Kage, beat him, and then they're gonna fight again for a 3rd time? Which is probably what's gonna happen, right? I can see that happening. But that's kind of lame, honestly. And like the thing with like Akina is like throughout this entire thing, the entire thing of Dear Days, Dear Days is supposed to come out today, but it hasn't, so I have that on the brain again. Throughout the entire thing of Divines, right? He hasn't really had a reason to play Vanguard, which is kind of what they're getting at this season, which is kind of cool. Hopefully they mature that plot point well. But he never really had a reason to get into the game. Originally, it was just the game that his sister played, and he was kind of like, yeah, that's nice or whatever. He didn't care for it. He only started playing the game because literally it was the only way to save his sister, right? Or heal her. I guess not specifically save, because Alright, everyone, welcome back to round 3. Do not adjust your TV sets. We are doing a bit of a blast to the past here, as we have, that's right, Mahar Nirvana versus, what will eventually be Seraph Pure Light. So we're going back to set 4 of this one. We didn't see this in the anime, but we get to see Yu versus Tomari. Get to see if these ancient as decks can still withstand the the current meta, right? So as we know, Prison has been a deck that's since its release has been doing prison thingies. It's been doing pretty solid, pretty good for itself. It still does pretty good during this current time, right? Because there's still a lot of decks that have some trouble with it, and the deck sure does get supported quite a bit. On top of that, we will have new support, a brand new Seraph Snow coming in soon, as well as support for whatever version of Nirvana Yu will be playing soon. As we see a crit come down here Unfortunately, 2 Varinas or 2 Prayer or some shit going into the damage zone here. Let's see here. This might actually be a mix, actually. I know he was on Mahar last time. I looked at this deck, but we'll see what deck player has here. He's going to discard the Arcs. He's going to go... He has the new Ride Line, so he is using Prayer Dragons. He's going to use the Ride Line to get himself the Trickstar. I wish I had a combo square for Nirvana and Jiva, but we'll see. Maybe I can change it. But we'll see here. We're going to get the Trick Moon out here. And let's see if we can maybe overdress into this. Probably not, considering we already had 1 Arcs, I think it is, in damage, and 1 in drop. So we did discard that one, so presumably if we wanted to overdress here, we could. We'll see what we pull out here. Sorry, I'm a bit already gassed. Already gassed. It's been like 2 rounds and I'm already gassed here, but this is hard work. So yeah, we are going to be able to overdress, counter blast 1, draw 2, and get 5k attack to the end of the turn, unfortunately. And I don't think you get any extra shield, as we're going to call the Amelia. Remember that card from Festival Collection? Remember when Amelia was like $30 because it lets you skip ride? Insane. Let's see here. Okay, gonna go ahead and take a damage. Fortunately, this is going to be a crit. We're gonna go ahead and check our own trigger here and then make this a nice solid 25 to this 23, which is going to be guarded. And we're just gonna go ahead and pass her in here, see what one is gonna go to prison from deck player's hand here as we ride into the Rosette Pink. And we're gonna see a critical trigger. Interesting. I'm gonna put that into prison here. Not that I guess Nirvana really has a lot of good targets that you want in prison, but I don't know if a trigger would have been it per se, but okay. And we're gonna get the another critical trigger from a hand here, thanks to the new grade 2 from, I believe, set 7 it was. Very small hand here on Novi's side here, unfortunately. But we do have, you know, a solid column that we can swing in here. They're actually going to call in the restander here in order to choose something from drop and put it into prison. We're going to see Verena Arcs going to prison here. And a card being drawn as well, and then calling a 3rd copy of the promo. The Horoscope Rebel that if you Soul Blast whenever a unit goes from order zone to field, essentially, you draw 1. We got a full board of those. Whether or not we have enough soul to activate it multiple times, we'll have to wait and see. As we're going to see the rear guard swing in here. Should be, I believe, all of them should just be 18. The middle column is actually 20 because I think the Rosette Pink actually gets +2. And I don't think the other rear guard gets another 5k, but I could be wrong. We're going to guard here for 25. Vanguard is going to go ahead and swing in here. We're going to see a no guard come in as we see a PG come to hand here. Damage check is going to be the Mahar Nirvana. See, it's there. I wasn't just debating. This is Mahar Nirvana as we're going to swing in here. I believe it's going to be 18. We're going to guard here. Maybe not. I guess it's a lot bigger than that as we're actually going to intercept. Huh. Okay. Unless we're overguarding. Maybe the unit does get power, but alright. We're gonna go ahead and maybe does the horse go to power? I don't actually remember here, but we're gonna go ahead and stand here. Both players are barely any cards in their hand here, and also not the type of decks that actually get cards. As we see another crit trigger come out of Gwen's hand here, as we're gonna go into actually the Jiva. Use its effect here or the grade 2's effect here when you ride Jiva over it. Just look at the top 7. Add a Prayer Dragon from a Mulling. We're actually gonna see the Aparaja come here. Or no, that's the I think that's the Babsara card, but I think that's actually the name of this card. But this is the Prayer Dragon. When you play it, you Soul Blast 1. Look at the whole deck, I believe, for any Prayer Dragon and call it out. So this is sort of a mix of Prayer Dragon or Jiva or cross overdress and overdress units, right? It's very interesting. Okay, we're gonna see that being added to hand here. I assume they were just gonna not shuffle and play it immediately, but looks like we're gonna try and do something else here first. Possibly use the Jiva skill here to get that Trick Moon back here, discarding maybe that same Prayer Dragon. Who knows? Let's see here. Very unfortunate to see so many triggers out, but honestly, we couldn't even see the game end here with only 2 cards here on the prison side. Only one of them being a PG, so you can do a 1-card PG to guard 1 attack at least. But we'll see here. Very, very, very interesting game, considering especially that prison, you know, puts a chokehold on the opponent's resources, and both players here barely having any resources in terms of hand. So. As it looks like deck players only got 3 cards in hand to Nobi's 2. Granted, Nobi does have a full board, so that is a bit of a different situation here. But let's see what we can do here. A lot of hand shuffling, tossing our Vanguard all over the place. But we do have the ability to call some stuff out from prison, which unfortunately, given our targets, doesn't really do much for us. But it's better than nothing, I guess, right? Better than powering up the Pure Light when it comes down in the following turn, possibly. So we're actually going to go ahead and discard here for the Jiva skill. We're going to get back the Trick Moon and the same card that we discarded here. We're going to call them both out to separate rearguard circles. And then I believe now we will, unless that's a different card, yeah, we'll Soul Blast 1 here. So it is the Prayer Dragon that we search from the top 7 here to use its effect here to search for another Prayer Dragon. Thinking if that's even worth it, I guess, here. Oh, I guess you have to discard 1 for the cost. Yeah, fair enough. Alright, gonna call out this one, which is pretty decent. Which, that one is pretty good because on place you can, I think, call something from drop. It's a pretty solid card here. For like EB30 whenever it's played. So this is the Argneus. Whenever it's played or discarded, if you have a Nirvana, you can EB3, choose a crossover dress from a drop, put it to your hand, and then when you overdress, you can Soul Blast the countercharge 1. So pretty, or when it becomes original dress, I should say. So pretty good card, I feel like, as we may be having some trouble here with. There we go. Quinn's Wi-Fi here. Okay. Seems like it sorted it out. I think we went into the Mirrors Verena. Mayhaps. Let's see if this can hopefully catch up here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. We're back. All good, all good. See, okay, there we go. Okay, I think we're finally back. All right, there we go. So yeah, so it looks like we have Mirrors Verena swinging in here. And perhaps grab some Verenas, maybe just the 1 Verena. But so we're gonna take this damage here. It's going to be the essentially the PG for rear guards here. We're into the damage here. We're gonna use the skill of Nirvana Jiva to restand Mirrors. Mirrors can countercharge if you basically Soul Blast out a Rune Arc. As we're going to 1-card PG here for a Twin Drive. It's going to be a PG, and it's going to be the Apreja that we have here. And then we're just going to go ahead and swing in here, see if we're going to go ahead and basically Soul Blast little Verena to draw instead of countercharging here. You have the option to do either or, and we're just going to have to take this because we only have 1 card in hand here, right, on the prison side. It's going to be a crit, unfortunately. Tragic that it comes out as the last damage there, but going to go ahead and move on here. If we have the robot, I feel like deck player is in a bad spot here, as we're going to discard the Pure Light to go into the Seraph here, Seraph Snow, and see what the remaining card in hand is. You know, deck player did do a good job of not calling anything out from prison, so that Nobi couldn't draw, which he would have been able to just Soul Blast 3 draw for each card. Each single card that comes out, but we didn't give Nobi the ability to do that at the cost of course, having a bunch of cards in prison, which, if we don't go into Pure Light, really doesn't really matter, right? So we are going to have Pure Light here, which is going to have the power, as well as the extra drive, thanks to its own effect. And I believe the rear guard can also restand, right? So very safe to say that the security robot that lets you skip dry is not in hand. Otherwise, you would have definitely gone into that right now, especially considering we're going second here. So we're on Jiva here. And we have ourselves a Mirrors Verena. The Amelia is also now in the prison. It looks like we're just going to intercept with our mirrors here, basically sending like 3 guards just to guard a very simple attack here, as we are going to be able to restand our unit here, stringing here with plus 10k plus an additional drive, as we're going to go ahead and PG and pitch what I think is an Esper idea. I'm going to check a critical trigger here. We're going to put the crit to the restander, and then we're going to check a PG. Very nice. So both opponents barely staying alive thanks to the fact that they keep drive checking a single PG that they can actually use. Let's see if Gwen can stay alive here, as he's going to have to take quite a bit of damage here and hopefully be able to clap back with just very few cards in hand, which has just been the name of this game. Is just what can you do with as little cards as possible. We're going to see another Nirvana go into damage, more Nirvana at that. And I know we've seen the PG already, so we actually have the over triggers, so basically the 5th PG here, as well as the 5th heal in some cases, use the guard here, as we're playing super basic Vanguard here. Let's see if Gwen can make anything happen here. He does have the ability to skip rides, because he does have access to the Amelia and the resources to do it. Whether that gets him anything is a completely different story. It doesn't give him access to triple drive and 10k to his front row if he has an overdress unit, but of course he has to actually get all the way through that, right? So trying to see what we have in drop here, possibly get an Expecta or an Esper idea or something out here, but we'll see. Maybe we'll hard ride Nirvana, who knows, right? Because I believe we're still possibly in ride phase, probably in main phase, but we'll see here. We have 3 cards here, so this is going to be a very tight game on both sides here. See if we can somehow resolve this and maybe get something going, right? Get either of these decks to do the thing that they want to do here. Let's see. So we still have access to the Amelia that we can call out, right? And we have a little bit of energy, but unfortunately it doesn't look like enough that we can use to actually draw. And we have ourselves access to some Prayer Dragons and some miscellaneous stuff there, but we're going to call the Cindy here. Use Cindy's effect to go into Soul. Okay. Add the Verena Arcs back to hand. Okay. Then we're going to pitch that to add back. No, okay. No, we're going to change that to add the mirrors here. We're going to call out the Apadaja. Discard a front trigger to search the deck for another Prayer Dragon. Guess we're not going to be able to go into the Mahar Nirvana here, unfortunately, as we do have 2 of them in damage. Who knows how many of them he actually plays, right? So there's a bit of an issue there as well. And let's see what we do here. Once you grab some card, I can't really, unfortunately, see from the glare of deck flare. But we're gonna call some Prayer Dragon out here. And what have we got? We got a single card in hand here, so we can discard it. Yep, we'll discard the mirrors here to bring back a Trick Moon and a Prayer Dragon. And unfortunately we can't cross overdress. We can bring back the Cindy because the Trick Moon was called, and then we can use the Cindy to go into Soul to get an overdress unit from drop back into our hand. Now it looks like we're going to add the mirrors back. And that at least gives us 1 overdress unit and a resend, right? So that's better than nothing, and a draw as well. So we're going to go ahead and overdress mirrors here, as we're going to get 2 Verenas from drop to add it to our stack here, and then draw 1, I guess, from its effect of one of the overdress, one of the outer original dress, inner dress, right? I'm gonna go ahead and draw 1 here, see if that does anything for us here. Would be insane if it was the Nirvana. No, it's actually going to be an Amelia that we're gonna overcall call to have as a booster. Not really doing anything in hand. Our opponent only has 3 cards in hand. Sorry, 4 cards in hand, 3 of which you already know what they are, right? We're going to remove Verena here to draw 1, swing in here. Opponent is at 4. Gotta say, compared to what is happening on all the other tables, this is definitely a very interesting game of Vanguard compared to like the modern state of the game, right? So Novi is here in a really tough spot here, and once again, Deck Flare not calling anything out has really somewhat helped them out, right? Because we haven't seen the Pure Light come in to really get punished by it, and Novi not being able to draw into anything. So we're keeping it at very low stakes here. And of course, Jiva able to just get everything that it needs from drop, as you have most of the pieces out there already. So we're going to see a PG come down here. So you have Trick Moon and a Verena Arcs. Absolutely tragic drive checks at this point in the game. Very unfortunate. However, we still can possibly win the game here, as there is only 1 singular card left in hand on the opponent's side here. So we can go ahead and swing with either side. Opponent will probably need to take 1 and maybe then react to the last one, or this can swing into rear guards, and that would also be equally as bad as taking a damage at this point in the game, right? When you don't have any cards in hand, losing a rear guard is pretty freaking bad, to be honest, right? So not sure which attack this is going through. I'm assuming it has to be into the restanding rear guard, right? Because why would you want that on board? Yep, because you definitely probably can't win the game here. And then swing to the other rear guard more than likely here, and then use that to draw here, so that we play the resources game here against the opponent here. Otherwise, you would just go to 4. I mean, there's really no point, right? So yeah, we're swinging into the rear guard, which is going to leave Nobi in a horrible spot, because he's just going to have to either use this 1 card to possibly guard the attack, if it's even enough, first of all. But if not, they're going to go ahead and just have to rely on whatever they draw from the top of the deck here to try and stay in the game here with no rear guards. They do have access to triple drive, and they can take 2 rear guards from the opponent. So looks like they are going to let the attack go through, as the rear guard is going to get retired. Nobi has a single card in hand here, 3 grade 1 rears in back, 2 cards in hand now after drawing for a turn. Has access to a triple drive because there are 5 cards in prison. And let's see what we can muster here, as there really isn't a lot we can do here, especially if we haven't seen the specific cards that we need to make this happen, right? So we're going to go ahead and CB1, target the 2 on the left side there, put them into prison. The number of cards in prison doesn't necessarily matter too much, to be honest, unless we see the Seraph White, but we're going to actually call the Agarug here, who could have put something into prison, actually, unless the mirror is not targetable by some effect. But I'm not really sure what is in the original inner dress or whatever the term is. So we once again have 1 card in hand, as we have a prison or Seraph's now able to get an additional 10k power and an additional drive here. As it looks like we're going to have to just no guard and hope for no crits. And 3rd check is not a critical trigger. Oof. So Deck Flare is alive, taking just a single damage, as we see the mirror is going to hand. Next turn is going to be somewhat deadly here, because we do have a grade 4 in hand, which is no shield, for 1. But we do have the grade 4 that we can just ride from hand, as well as the security robot to skip right into it. As we're going to go ahead and intercept here, or have that attacked into. Yep. Let's see what Deck Flare can do now. Next turn is basically gonna be the end of him, right? If he doesn't find a way to end it here, knowing that the Pure Light is coming down. But that does mean, of course, the opponent doesn't really have a lot, right? That's basically 2 cards less from the opponent's hand, right? Because they want to hang on to that as best as they can, so that they can actually play Vanguard next turn, right? So we'll see if they can make that happen here. As we're actually going to see the Forbiddle Doll come through here. Very nice, very nice. I'm assuming that's what they drew for turn here, as we're going to get the 2 grade 4s with different names. We're actually going to get the Esper Idea and the Mahar Nirvana finally showing itself. Gonna add both of those to hand here. Of course, we are not in ride phase, so we can't ride that, but we do have access to both Amelias in the prison that we can just go ahead and call out here to skip right into Mahar Nirvana, and we can actually ping our opponent for 1 damage and push for game with triple drive here, as again, Nobi basically only has 2 cards in hand. One of them, I believe, is the Barrage Blitz Order, which they can use, so that might be just as good here, right? Looks like we're in an EB7 draw here, so Declar is actually able to you know, given he's been playing with as minimal cards as possible, he has been able to draw way more, right? He has been able to go through his deck way more, which is kind of the nature of this deck, right? That's just kind of how Jiva works, and unfortunately, the whole prison mechanic right now really has not been too much of a hindrance to him, right? Especially considering he hasn't really played too much out there. So he's going to call out a Trick Moon here, and we're going to actually go into Varina here. Overdressed into Varina Arcs, drawing 2 by CB1 and giving Varina +5. Surely we go into Mahar Nirvana, right? Why else would we add that to hand? But okay. Unfortunately, alright. We're gonna discard Esper Idea actually to get a Trick Moon and a Prayer Dragon. That's interesting. Okay. And do we have an Overdress for that? We do have the Cindy, but I believe she's in Soul. Okay, we're going to Soul Blast out for the Apparatus skill. We're going to go ahead and discard what I believe was the Mahar Nirvana. Actually, we might just be abandoning that altogether. I feel like we could have easily just gone into that. Got into triple drive, ended the game here, but... Okay. Unless you can ride from drop. If you can ride from drop, then that's a completely different story. Right. Because I know you can get the Esper Idea back from drop. But we'll see what we can do here. I don't remember how where Amelia can ride from. It's been so long. We'll see what we can do here. Okay. To try and figure out what is our next game plan. I'm pretty sure we can at least still go into the Mahar Nirvana, slam that thing down, but not seeming to do that yet. Because I'm giving my players a 10-minute warning, not counting the 10 minutes of extra time. Because don't want to do double losses, but they do get a total of 30 minutes, 5 extra minutes to just set up mulligan and whatnot, but they get a total of 30 minutes for the actual round, and they get an extra 10 if they haven't resolved their game. So 15 minutes over, or that's actually just 10, because Bushwood kind of gives you the 5 minutes to do the mulligan, right? But we're going to see here the new card here from set 7 coming through. 2 of those here come through, and yeah, it just looks like we're not going to go into Amelia. We're just going to go ahead and swing in here, play it semi-safe here. This card is from set 7. I was really unhappy about her because I got a case for set 7 and I got so many copies of her. I high rolled on her and I was just like, I do not need more than 2 copies of this card. But just on plays, you EB3 like a top 7 for a Nirvana or a Talisman put into your hand. Or when it boosts, you can give something that's an overdress or cross-dress an additional 5k to end of turn. So the unit that restands can get an additional 5k. We're going to go ahead and see the PG come down here as we discard the Pure Light here. We're going to drive check absolutely nothing here. And then we're going to swing in. Yeah, we're going to swing in here, use its skill to give the Arcs an additional 5k again. And this should just be a, unless we saw some more power, but I don't think we do. So this is just a flat 18. We do have the one intercept that we can use. The Agarug is a 28k. I'm sorry, a 15k, making a 28k with the Vanguard, right? We are going to use the Blitz Barrage, I believe it's called, to go ahead and try and guard his attack here. And we do have the Security Robo in hand, which we can actually use to skip ride from drop, right? As we're going to take this big Urks attack and swing in to the Agarug, I think, right? 'Cause no point in giving him, I guess, an extra counter blast, as we're going to go ahead and pass turn here with 4 cards in hand. Nobody with 2 cards in hand. Very, very slow-paced, methodical game here. Okay, yeah, so we're just going to go ahead and call the Robo. Ride from deck. Deck player has to choose something from drop to put into prison here. Ironically, I think the trick move can't be targeted. I think it has resist, but it's not. It doesn't have resist when you you know, overdress. Very interesting strategy from deck player, putting a bunch of triggers in prison, right? Typically, you want stuff that you can call out that makes things useful here, but fortunately, that is not going to be the case here, as we're going to see Pure Light taking 2 from soul, 2 from hand, and then 2 from the field to put into the prison for absolutely insane bonkers numbers here. I guess maybe not 2 from field for some reason. Is there any reason that the board is not targetable? Am I crazy? But I don't know. I know Mirana has some cards that offer protection, but I'm not sure which ones here are not letting 2 get targeted, or we did choose 2 and it got negated somehow. But and yeah, I mean, just go ahead and go swinging. There's nothing I think Gwen can do here other than like heal out, because this is just, everything should have a crit, I believe, as well as a bunch of power here. And we have triple drive from the Vanguard unconditionally. So yeah, we just swing Vanguard, and Gwen is either gonna have to drop a PG and hope that we don't see any insane checks, right? As we see a critical trigger come down, which has been unfortunate. Gonna see a Security Robo, and then the Regalius piece. Wow, the Drag Duel Regalius piece. And then swing 2 crit with no grade 1s from hand, I believe it is, and that's gonna be the game. We are gonna see a heal trigger. But I think we need to heal like 3 in a row in order to make this actually matter. Second check is going to be the trick star, as we had another heal in hand. Whew, what a game that was. Fortunately, did not get to see the Mahar Nirvana, but we'll be back with round 3 pretty soon. Stay tuned.
Last I checked, 3 comes after 2, right? So after the second Vanguard set, we've got the third set, right? Wrong! We received set 6, Breaker of Limits. This set led to a pivotal moment in Vanguard's history, as it gave a unique experience in the English format, led the groundwork for our first ever World Championships, and introduced us to the limit break mechanic that we would be seeing for many sets to come. However, maybe you have no idea what I'm going on about? No sweat, I'll bring you up to speed. There doesn't seem to be an official reason for releasing set 6 in English after set 2. It's often speculated that Bushiroad would want to close the gap between releases for Japan and the rest of the world. The general community belief, however, is that Bushiroad wanted to switch up and balance the metagame for the English format, as sets 3 and 5 introduced decks that dominated this metagame for a long time. These will become to be known as the Big 3. We'll be discussing that Big 3 in future videos. The products we'll be talking about today introduce new clans and mechanics, but Bushiroad seemed to make a very targeted effort to make players play one clan in particular introduced in this set, Gold Paladin. They were the box cover art for set 6. They were featured as one of the 2 trial decks used by the main character in the anime for a long period of time. Received a huge wave of support in this booster set, and in the first ever extra booster in the English format, Cavalry of Black Steel. Extra boosters are basically what they are named, additional booster sets. They're typically released between main sets with a smaller set list and focus, as well as supporting fewer clans. This extra booster also had its release window pushed ahead in order to release alongside this set, in order to further support Gold Paladins. In general, this was a very successful period for Vanguard as a whole. When researching for this video, it was really interesting to hear how excited people were for Vanguard at this time. There was just an overall feeling that Vanguard could potentially surpass and overcome the big 3 card games of the time. Some players even mentioned that their locals grew to the point that they had to rent out extra spaces to accommodate more players. We'll actually be covering all of these products in today's video, starting with these trial decks. Trial Deck 5 Slash of Silver Wolf for Gold Paladin and Trial Deck 6 Resonance of Thunder Dragon for Narukami were released on May 12, 2012. But what did end up happening to Trial Deck 3 and 4? Bushiroad skipped 3 and 4 featuring Nova Grappler and Oracle Think Tank for now. We did eventually receive those trial decks later on, but more on that in a future video. Trial Deck 5 Slash of Silver Wolf introduced Gold Paladin as a new clan. For those who are unfamiliar, Gold Paladin is very closely related to Royal Paladin. It similarly has the ability to swarm the field with units. However, Gold Paladin did this by searching the top few cards of the deck, instead of the entire deck like Royal Paladin typically did. The other new clan they introduced was Narukami in the Trial Deck 6 Resonance of Thunder Dragon. Narukami was closely related to the Kagero clan, but had a bit of an identity crisis at the start. It didn't have a defining mechanic or game plan when it was first introduced, but in later history videos, you'll see how this clan evolved into a much more cohesive clan over time. You might have noticed that both trial decks feature Aichi and Kai again. That's because they were the clans used by them in the anime for this new anime season. I won't give any details to prevent spoilers, but Gold Paladin and Narukami will be the main focus for a while. The trial decks also introduced a new mechanic, Limit Break. Limit Break looked like this on cards. To activate Limit Break, you needed to have the same or more cards in your damage zone as the number written on the symbol, which was usually 4 or 5. Limit Break unlocked powerful abilities. However, because of the cost of having 4 to 5 cards in your damage zone, you could only activate these abilities later in the game. This also meant if you healed and ended up with less damage, or your opponent kept you at only 3 damage, you would not be able to access this ability. We'll be talking about Limit Break a lot in this video and for many videos to come, as this will be the main mechanic cards and decks will revolve around for a while. So let's quickly talk about the two main cards in the trial decks and their limit breaks. Great Silver Wolf Garmor was the main card for Gold Paladin, and Thunder Break Dragon was the main card for Narukami. They both had the same limit break ability that was to simply give the unit 5,000 power when it attacked a Vanguard. Even though it was simple, 5,000 power during this point in Vanguard was a great power boost and could make a huge difference. There isn't much else to say about these trial decks, as most of the cards in these decks weren't useful, although some cards did see some play, which we'll talk about soon. This has nothing to do with Limit Break, but fun fact about Garmor, it was the very first errata card in Vanguard history. Very early copies of this card in the trial deck actually refer to the concept of a deck as a library. This wording was never used again and was corrected in future printings. So, how were these decks received by the community? Some players felt that there wasn't anything really special about these two trial decks. They thought the trial decks were pretty light. For example, they didn't come with any PGs. If you remember from my previous videos, PGs were pretty expensive during this time, going from $15 to $20 each, maybe even more. They also only had one copy of the main boss unit and a vanilla starting Vanguard. Overall, the Gold Paladin trial deck was the more popular trial deck, but there were still players that loved the Thunder Break Dragon. Moving on to the next booster set in the timeline, Breaker of Limits Set 6 was released in English worldwide on May 19th, 2012. This is one of the rare times in Vanguard's history where the booster set had an almost simultaneous worldwide release. While we got the set in May, Japan got it a few weeks earlier on April 28th, 2012. Up until that point, we were about 8 to 9 months behind Japan's release schedule. I wasn't playing at this time, but heard that many players were eager for sets 3 and 4 to come out. Like we do today, they followed what was happening overseas and got a preview of the crazy support some decks were about to receive. At that time, it was a big surprise to English players when Bushiroad was like, actually, we're gonna give everyone set 6 instead. And it was a huge letdown for those that were looking forward to those sets that were skipped. But once players learned what we were getting for the upcoming release, it generated a lot of hype and excitement. This set also changed how packs work. Now, every pack always included at least one trigger unit. This decision might have been to support the move towards decks using cards and triggers from one single clan, instead of mixed matching clans like we've been seeing up until now. We'll slowly start to see the game evolve to what we know it today starting from here. Let's spend some time talking about the clans in this set. The 5 clans supported in this set were Nova Grappler, Grand Blue, and 3 new clans, Gold Paladin, Narukami, and Angel Feather. Starting off with Angel Feather, they received 30 cards from this set, which is pretty amazing because up until this time, new clans only received 4 cards. Angel Feather focused on manipulating the cards in your damage zone, which I'll get into more detail later on. The key cards for Angel Feather in this set included both no-CLs, as they worked really well with Angel Feather's main mechanic and would see play for many sets to come. They also received their own triggers, such as 2 different critical and stand triggers, a draw trigger, and a special heal trigger with the Forerunner ability. This Forerunner ability allowed the trigger to be called to rear circle after being ridden upon, and could also be placed back into the deck after boosting. Essentially, you could use this trigger as your starting Vanguard and have a way to put it back into your deck. You still could only place 16 triggers in your deck total, including the starting Vanguard, but it was an interesting set of abilities on trigger units that only appeared on a total of 5 cards and haven't been done ever again. Some more highlights for Angel Feather. Not only did they get their own Limit Break unit in Circle Saw Curio and a Mega Blast unit in Mobile Hospital Feather Palace this set, but they also received a set of Ride Chain cards. Ride Chain was introduced in the sets that English skipped, so this is the first time English players would get these types of cards. Ride Chain cards had effects that were only activated when you rode a specific grade 1 over a grade 0, a specific grade 2 over a specific grade 1, and a specific grade 3 over a specific grade 2, and also had effects that could help you get the cards to continue the chain. This should start to sound a little familiar because it's kind of a progression from the Superior Ride we talked about in previous videos, or more importantly, you can think of it as an early version of the Ride deck that we currently have in Standard. We'll talk about Ride Chain a little bit more in future videos in the sets that were skipped, 3, 4, and 5. Next up we have Gold Paladin. Gold Paladin was very hot in this set along with Angel Feather. They made their first main set debut with a total of 23 cards, including 2 reprints from the trial deck and 3 promo cards exclusive to the English version of this set. Gold Paladin received a stand and critical trigger, a Mega Blast unit, as well as their own PG. They also received a countercharger in Trip, Calamity Mage. A countercharger is a card with the ability to flip up one of the cards in your damage zone. This meant you can use that card to counter blast again. Players used to call these cards with this type of an effect on flippers. Gold Paladin's main game plan can be best explained by the card Vivian, who could call the top card of the deck to field mid-battle, Superior Calling blindly. They kinda just took what they could grab. The key cards for Gold Paladin, including the triple rare on the box art, Incandescent Blonde Ezel, who could similarly call from the top of the deck through their Limit Break, as well as a Perfect Guard and Hollow Shield Mark. Gold Paladin was one of the first decks to exclusively play the max number of PGs, 4, in their competitive builds. Before moving to the other 3 clans, I want to take a moment to discuss promo packs, since I just mentioned the Gold Paladin promos. The English version for set 6 ended up being slightly different from the Japanese version. Bushiroad decided to add 11 cards from Japanese promo packs in the English release of set 6. This meant that the English set had a total of 113 cards, compared to Japan's 102. For those that aren't familiar, promo packs are packs of exclusive cards given out at participating tournament stores to tournament players, winners, or even both. Japan had been receiving these promo packs regularly, so they were pretty ahead of us when it came to promos. In English, we didn't start getting promo packs until April 2012, so a month before set 6 release. This was assuming your store signed up for these packs, received them in time, or even knew about these promos in the first place. The first English promo packs came with 1 random card out of 3 different possible cards, which were Knight of Endurance Lucan from Gold Paladin, Dragon Undead Skull Dragon, and King Seahorse from Grand Blue. These promos weren't as strong and sought out as they are today, for example, where a single promo can save a deck or provide it support missing from main releases. Grand Blue, however, did see some use with the Undead Skull Dragon, as it could return from the drop to the field. The 11 cards that were promos in Japan and included in this set were mostly clones, or cards with the same effect as other cards in a different clan or clans, which is something that has evolved over time into the cycle cards that we receive today. For example, in the 11 additional cards we got Turborizer, which has the same effect as Battle Riser. There was Greed Shade from Grand Blue with the same attack and effect as Covenant Knight Randolph from Royal Paladin, and very similar to the Kung Fu Kid Bolta from Nova Grappler. Kungal from Royal Paladin has the same effect as Rock the Wall from Dark Irregulars and other cards with the same effect. Battle Flag Knight Laudine had the same effect as the Blazer Idols from Bermuda Triangle, but as a grade 2. Satellite Fall Dragon from Gold Paladin had the same effect as many other cards, like the Dead Charge Dragon from Narukami in this same 11 we're talking about. Bright Lance Dragoon from Narukami had the same effect as the Dragon Armored Knight from Kaguro, who's actually in the extra booster we'll be discussing later on. Rising Phoenix with the same effect as the Lock Bird from OTT we discussed in the previous video. And finally, Muscle Hercules from Nova Grappler, who was a grade 3 version of the Hungry Dumpty and Claydol mechanic from set 1, also in Nova Grappler. Finally, we reached the last card, Cup Brawler from Nova Grappler, who is not exactly a clone and had a more specific effect, getting 1000 power when one of your Nova Grappler rear guards was rested, while Cup Brawler was the Vanguard. Outside of a few cases, the majority of these cards didn't see widespread play, but I still want to take some time to highlight them as this was the first time that English and Japanese booster sets were actually different. Coming back to the clans, up next we have Narukami, which had some hype this set, probably from Kaguro players of the previous set that were left wondering about the Jijins with strange effects they received in the trial deck. Narukami, similar to Gold Paladin, received a total of 23 cards. 2 reprints from the trial deck, 3 promo cards exclusive to the English version of this set. Much like their counterpart, Narukami also received a standing critical trigger, Mega Blast unit, as well as their own PG. They also received a countercharger in Garuda, and some interesting cards in the Desert Gunners and Indra. The Desert Gunners allowed units to lose the ability to intercept for a turn, while Indra was a Vanguard that gained criticals when it attacked if there were more copies of it on the field. At this point, Narukami did not have much of an identity in terms of gameplay, but was supposed to be a close relative to Kaguro. Key cards for Narukami in this set included the face of the clan for some time, Gigantic Kaiser Vermilion, who can attack the entire front row in one swing, and Dread Scythe, which was a Burning Dragon clone for Narukami. Nova Grappler received a sprinkle of support this set. They originally only received a total of 8 cards in the Japanese version of this set, but thanks to 4 promos in the English version of this set, they got a total of 12.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is round 4. And we have ourselves here Kyrie once again versus actually not Kyrie. I put Kyrie by accident, sorry. That is we have ourselves Leonor versus Leonor here. So this is actually not Kyrie. This is Leonor Mask. Where art thou? Leonor Mask. There we go. Sorry. Click was playing Kyrie yesterday, and that's why I did that. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so we have Leonor versus Leonor up on stream, so it's pretty interesting. Vivace, of course, is the normal Leonor that we're all used to seeing here, or not, I shouldn't say here, but in general, as it is the one that has been seeing a lot of relevancy, but lately, we've seen the Leonor Mask variant see a lot of play thanks to the Silver White Order that allowed you to basically get mega Rosarium fairies, right? So as we see here, we are able to go ahead and get the rush turn here, as we got double Rosarium, 3 tokens here, no trigger here, but we're going to lose a Sincerity on the Vivance side, as we see another 13 coming in here. See if we could just go to 3. Now we're actually going to guard this one with a trigger. Unfortunately, we did not get a defensive either time to be able to block these attacks here. Going to be able to discard the Sea Rumble Shoot here in order to draw one. The ride line is being proxied, so while you are seeing the Leonard ride line and whatnot, it is actually going to be the Aurora white line, which is why we have tokens out here. So just please try to keep that in mind. I know that might be a little bit confusing, but I do allow proxies in my tournaments just because I want people to be able to play the game, right? That's the thing that matters, not so much whether or not you have the cards. That is out of my control, right? But we're gonna see the Mythiarch habitat come down here and be able to get a Rosarium Fairy as well for the Vivant side. So this is gonna allow you to turn one of those plant tokens into 2 plant tokens if we did decide to use the effect here. We are going to be able to do that and get a plant token here. We're going to put the Rosarium in the back, which you should, so you don't end up losing it, and we're going to get the same exact board on both players' side for the most part, right? So we're going to swing in here Rosarium Fairy for 13 to the mask side. Let's see if we're able to guard this attack here. Very crucial how you play the early games here when it comes to the almost mirror, right? Of course, the mask is a bit more burst. It pops off a bit earlier than the Vivance, whereas the Vivance is extremely powerful much later on. As we're going to see here, you're going to swing into the plant token. Unfortunately, not able to break through the 1-to-pass on the Vanguard side here, right? Because it, you know, the Vivance is able to go ahead and go into the mask and instantly Persona Ride if they go second for 1. And they're basically active immediate, whereas the Vivance has to wait until turn 4 to actually ride into their Leonore. And the base Leonore is not very good, right? And they're actually able to do their 5 attacks, even if they go first and they don't get access to Persona Ride, right? They're still able to go ahead and get 5 attacks thanks to the effect of the Leonore Mask, right? So it definitely is more potent in the early game, and they have the Silver White to completely blip out your opponent, right? Rush them down, blip them out. So it's very powerful in that regard. However, Leonore and Vivace, of course, is more powerful in the later half of the game. It's just whether or not they can actually make it that far, right? So obviously, this matchup very much favors the Leonore Mask, right? Especially going first, you don't really want to go second with Vivance, since, you know, that means an extra turn you have to deal with your opponent's grade 3 stuff. And not be able to do your Vivance as quickly as possible, right? Because this deck thankfully still doesn't have a skip rider, but we'll see what happens. This is another deck that will be getting a brand new grade 3 form in the Leonore, like Turnabout or Trenbon or something like that. I don't really know what the name is, but that is coming along with the Pure Light as well, right? So we're going to overcall the token here to call out the Alvenia. Use her skill here, EB3, to add the Silver White back to hand here. Probably play it immediately here, right? We did add one from the ride line. So we're going to go ahead and deck them. We're going to put the Silver White onto the plant token. Silver White says for each grade 1, one of your units gets 5k. Grade 1 or less units, I believe, right? So I believe that plant token just jumped up to 25k. And of course, that works really well with the Rosarium Fairy, who can copy that power gain, right? So we're going to be able to guard the first attack here. Doesn't look like there's enough cards in drop for the Philander to get extra big. Gonna get a Sincerity, not a trigger here, and then we have this massive column here that's gonna push. So 3 here, gonna lose, unfortunately, the Trumpeter. As we're going to go ahead and pass turn here. Actually, no. Sorry, I lied. You're going first with Advance here. Sorry, I had mixed that up. Right? So at least you get to go first here with Advance. You definitely don't want to go second, but it does mean that the Leonard Mask Player is going to be able to Persona Ride next turn and possibly blow you out. Right? But we'll see how this goes here, because they are pretty much all set. Because they do have a Silver White for next turn, and they already have their Rosarium Fairies. So let's see if we can do something here in this basic Leonore turn to try and survive, as we actually discard the Silver White to ride here, which is pretty interesting. I think we use the Leonore skill to draw one here and deciding what we're going to do here. We're going to draw one, discard a critical trigger. Unfortunately, we're going to switch Rosarium Fairies, put them in the front, having a whole back row of tokens. Unfortunately, boost the Vanguard with tokens as we Soul Blast one, discarding a Vivant from hand here, regretfully, to try and see if we can push some damage here. As our opponent's going to no guard, we're going to get a PG, which is good. We're going to get a critical trigger, which is also just as good. Give the crit to the Vanguard, and we're going to give the power to the back row token. We're going to give a power against that token, and we're also going to get a heal. So very good drive check that's possibly going to allow us to survive for the next turn. We're going to see an Alvinia and an Elementar come from the Leonard Mass side, which is two very good cards that the advanced player would like to not have to deal with. Going further into the game here, we're going to swing here with the Rosarium Bearing swinging in here. And of course, Disney triggers, since the crit, I should say, from the trigger is already out, we could, as the mass player, just kind of take these two attacks here if we have full combo in our hand, right? But that may or may not be the case here, because we are at 3 damage, so we could just take 2 and just go on into our turn. But judging from how Click is playing here, I'm assuming that we don't have the ability to end this next turn, possibly don't have access to the mask or Leonard mask or anything like that. So we probably want to try and stay here on low damage, even though they did see Kirgy discard the Vance, possibly because they have another one in hand, who knows. But that is a very telling discard, I'll say that much. Right? As we try to guard this massive column on the other side is really what Click is trying to figure out if he wants to, or rather if he's able to guard that attack, right? So we're going to be able to guard this attack here with just 25k shield or 25k Toto here. And then we're going to have this big attack that I'm assuming we're just going to take to try and save hand. No, we're actually going to drop the 40 to block the attack. Very interesting. Do not want to go to 3 apparently. 4 I should say. And we're going to stay at 3 as we draw here. Let's see what we discard for Ride. We do have a Silver White in hand. We're going to go ahead and discard the Sincerity. Very nice, very nice. As we ride into the Leonard, we're going to go ahead and Soul Blast 1 for the Sincerity in order to draw a single card here. And what are we going to do here? Because I did not see the mask yet. Hey Ed, how's it going, buddy? Let's see what our Click is going to do here. Because Click on the left is playing Leonard Mask. Wow. Kurge on the right is playing Leonard Vivace. Yep, so we do have indeed Battle of the Bands over here. Go ahead and vote for your best band here. They're going to be using the Leonard skill here to CB1, draw 1. Leonard and Leonard Violence, yep. Alright, going to work. Very nice, very nice. Let's see what we discard here. Both players running very low on hand. It's very similar to the round 3 game where we had Mahar Nirvana versus Prison. Which is very funny. But let's see here. I spent the entire game without either player really having any cards in hand. Very, very interesting game. But looks like we're going to call out a Rosarium Fairy here. Ironically, no tokens out here as we have triple Rosarium Fairies. And let's see if the Silver White will come into play here. There it is. Who is going to get the power, right? Go ahead and give that to... I'm just rearranging things. I am also hosting this tournament at the same time, so I have to pay attention in case anyone has any issues, but it looks like everything's good so far. As we're gonna see the Silver White come through here. It's gonna give 9 and drop, possibly 10. I think it's just 9 and drop, so it doesn't look like the Philander's gonna be able to get enough power here to get the plus 10k. But maybe it did. Maybe there's an extra card there that I'm not seeing, but sure. He's gonna get really massive here, and thankfully for Click, since he wants second here, he can actually use the power of the Rosarium Fairy to copy that massive power there. So we're gonna go swing in with Leonard here. We're gonna Soul Blast 1. Bro doesn't even know what his card does. We're gonna Soul Blast 1, right? That's at least gonna give Sun from drop from what I can see. And we're gonna discard a critical trigger as Kurgi guards with the Sentinel here. The Elementaria here, discarding a heal trigger, which is pretty tragic, but it is what it is. Let's see what the drive checks here are going to be. It's gonna be Philander, Sincerity, and a heal trigger. So at least Click is going to be able to heal. We're gonna have both players 2 damage, both Elementarias out of the game. And we're going to give the heal, of course, heal power, I should say, to the Giant Philander here, who is sitting at a massive 58 right now. So they're going to go ahead and use Leonard's skill to restand both of those. And then we're just going to go ahead and swing with this massive 58, 70, 68, 70 something. As we're going to check a heal trigger here and actually heal out Sincerity. And then swing again with this massive, mega massive attack here. 58 times 2 plus the 8. As we're gonna go ahead and pass turn, see the silver white go into damage here. 2 cards in hand. This must have been a hell of a brawl. Yeah, both of them were able to get double Rosarium and full board of tokens on their first attacking turn. So yes, did have very strong early game. So we know we have 2 Sincerity here. I guess here and drop. Looks like we're not going to get the Vivants because we did have to discard it last turn for the Leonore skill, which is very tragic that we were not able to hang on to that. But I guess Click not being able to go into Leonore Mask either makes this just a basic ass Leonore versus Leonore match. Not Leonore versus Vivace or Leonore and Vivace versus Leonore and Mask. No, just Leonore versus Leonore. As we're gonna swing with the Vanguard here, discarding a token. I'm sorry, the token maker, Rosarium Fairy. So boost with all tokens to swing in here. We have the proxy here, which I forget what it is. But we're just going to get all blanked here, unfortunately. Shout out to Immortal Blank on YouTube. As we're going to see the back row here stand, we have the ability of the Rosarium Fairy to copy the power of the token in the back row to get some nice big power here. So both players basically doing the exact same thing, except of course, Click is in a position where once he gets his mass stuff in, he can do it way better. Whereas Kurgi has to somehow draw into his Vivace and ride into it, right? Whereas Click can actually do some stuff to ride into it in main phase, which is the one strength that he has in this matchup here. But let's see here how we can guard his attack, as we're actually going to give it a 43, and then we're going to take the big number here. Actually going to get a draw trigger, which will hopefully help out in this matchup here, as we have Click at 4, and we have ourselves Kurgi at 3. Kurgi being the alleged Leonore and Vivant player, and Click being the alleged Leonore and Mask player, but neither of them able to ride into their actual cards that I've advertised, right? So we'll see what can happen here. Let's see if we maybe have the Mask of Hydrogoom to maybe do something here, but judging from the hesitancy I see in Click here, it does not look like we have it. So I guess we're just gonna have to have another vanilla turn here, which really sucks. We don't, I think, have any soul either. So we're gonna CB1 draw here, possibly discard or call out a card. Yeah, with no soul here, it's gonna be the most vanilla turns. Unless we can find a way to generate soul, or unless his sleeves are that thin. Yeah, he still has an extra soul in hand. So you're actually going to call out the Philander over one of the Rosarium Fairies. This is technically calling from hand, if I'm not mistaken. So this does count for Philander's skill here. So if we can maybe hit the not Leonore Mask, but the Mask of Hydrogoom from this, that'd be great. Looks like we have the Firework Allies as an option here, so that's pretty good. To an extent, no, but yeah, we're going to get the Mask of Hydrogoom. But of course we do need to have Leonore and Mask in hand in order to use that. Otherwise it really doesn't matter, right? Let's see what we got here. So we're going to overcall here to call what looks like Courtier. Use Courtier here to discard his Sincerity. Searching the deck for the other Mask of Hydrogoom, putting that to drop. But that Mask of Hydrogoom does have the red text where you can activate it from the drop, which means that you will be able to, one, it'll go to the bottom of the deck, but also you'll be able to look at the top 5 for, ideally, Leonore and Mask here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to look at the top 5 first, try to find something with Dragon Tree or Mask in its name, and we're going to whiff, tragically. So we're not going to be able to see it, unfortunately. There's still a small chance we have one in hand. That would be really good if we can use one from hand right now. We were just trying to deck then. But otherwise, this is going to look pretty rough for Click here. As we're going to do that, and we're going to put the Mask of Hydrogoom on the bottom of the deck by the effect of Courtier. And let's see if we at least have it in hand. It does not look like we have it in hand here. So bit tragic. We're just gonna have to swing in soulless Leonore. Vanilla swings here. I don't know how much Kurgi has in soul, but yeah. We're gonna put in the Sincerity at the bottom of the deck here to try and get a little bit of extra power here. Making base power here 20. I guess, or yeah, another Philander has another +10 here. And yeah, we're just gonna swing in here. Can't do any discarding, right? Unfortunately, because you don't have any soul. So we're gonna see a PG here come in to easily guard this attack. First check is gonna be, of course, Leonard Mask. There she is. Second check is going to be the Trumpet Fellow. So we're alive. Next turn, if we can survive to that next turn right here, as we're going to see the Rosarian Fairy swing in here, absorb the power of this mega gigantic Philander on the other side with its own giant Philander boosting it, right? See if Kurgi can... granted, Kurgi can just take both of these attacks and he'll be fine. It's just whether or not he can clap back next turn, which really matters. That draw trigger will definitely make it so that we can actually do something next turn. We'll see how that works out here as we have this giga massive Philander Rosarian Fairy Wombo combo coming through here. See how this is going to work out. I feel like we could just take this attack. Considering Click is at 4, we can block their heals. No crits were checked. We go to 5. Unless we know the top card is Vivance. But I feel like we just go to 5 here, save hand. But no, we're actually going to PG here, discard. Again, I forget what their proxy is, but you're going to go ahead and discard that and pass turn. We're going to draw here. And I feel like we would have slapped down Vivance by now if we had it, right? So it doesn't look like we're going to be doing any of that. We're instead going to call down the Alvinia here, use its skill to EB3, search for an order. We're going to get, of course, the Silver White here, as we're doing basic Leonard versus Leonard. We're going to call the grade 2 here, use its skill here to CB1, try to look for a Leonard from the top 7 here. So yeah, both players will be able to win this on their next turn. Unfortunately for Kurgi, he has to win it on this turn. Otherwise, next turn, Click is going to go into the Leonard Mask, and unless we somehow farmhand here, hit OT, do something, I don't know how Kurgi can survive this one. We'll see how this goes here. I also didn't get to check to see if he has any soul. No. So he doesn't have any soul either, which is actually pretty funny. So we just have both of these Leonards just swinging in relatively vanilla here. And presumably we have the Silver White being played. Sorry, I looked away for a second. We're going to go ahead and guard this for... Oof, we're going to check a heal trigger here. Very nice. That's going to make this really tough for Click here. And again, another event, which is pretty unfortunate for Kurgi here. Yeah, if Click can survive, Click can't guard both these attacks. Obviously, it's over him. But if he can guard just a single attack, it's kind of over for Kurgi here. Regretfully. Unless he needs to use somehow key pieces to guard, but I feel like, yeah, you take this first swing here, and it's going to be a Leonard Mask, and then the big one's coming in here if we don't have PG. We do have PG, and we're going to go ahead and discard the Trumpeter. And then, yeah, this is basically should be curtains, as we have a single card left in Click's hand here. As they draw for turn, go to 9 energy, and they can just go ahead and use the effect of... unless they discarded it for something, but they can go ahead and use the effect of the... Mask of Injury to ride into Leonard Mask, but they're actually going to use the effect of Leonard first here to CB1, draw, discard or call 1. And looks like they got... Considering what they can do here, trying to see if they can make this as big as possible. I feel like they got this no matter what, right? I feel like we can go and end the game here. We're actually just going to go Coutier with Coutier. It looks like they're going to actually discard a Leonard Mask because I guess they have an extra one. Or they're going to just be dumb and stick to the base Leonard here, which would be very silly. I'm actually going to use Coutier here to try and get something. to drop. Yeah, it's gonna be the silver white. I don't know why I bother saying something. It's just gonna be silver white each time, right? What other order are we gonna possibly try and get here, right? It's just gonna be the silver white, which fair enough here. Then let's see. We're going to overcall that to call the Alvenia. Use the effect of the Alvenia here to EV3. I guess add the silver white to hand. Sure. Could have just played it from drop, but I mean, she is a bigger booster. Then we're finally going to use the Mask of Hijogumi here to go into Leonore and Mask, draw 1, activate Persona Ride. 10k to the front row, and then we're just going to go swinging here, right? Well, after we activate the silver white here. So they're actually gonna they brought a silver white to hand for whatever reason, and then they're gonna play a silver white from drop, the one that they got from Kuchir, like I guess, and then they're gonna play it. Okay, or no, they put the Sincerity at the bottom of the deck. That's what it was. Okay. They're gonna play the silver white that they got from hand. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, and then yeah, Kirby's dead here. Regretfully, that's just kind of how this deck works. It's just fucking swing, right? Because now this Rosarian Fairy swings. It basically has this gigantic booster, and then he's just gonna be able to do that for every single swing. So Kirby just has to somehow guard these big numbers multiple times. He's gonna get a defensive here, but outside of like 4 heals and an over trigger, it's kind of rough here. Gonna see the second one be, of course, not a trigger, as we're gonna see the Vanguard here swing in here. I believe it takes everything and boosts with it, right? We're gonna check the over trigger on top of all of that, as if it wasn't overkill enough. We're gonna draw 2, heal 1, give 10k to the front row, give someone a crit, give 100 million to the back row that can now swing with 200 million attacks, and then finally again, just about nothing. I think we did an extra drive check there, yeah. Because we're not on Leonore, not that again that it matters. We're going to check our own over trigger, draw 1, but unfortunately second damage. Our final damage is going to be the Alvenia. What an interesting game that was. Very interesting to see 2 of these types of games in a row. But we'll be right back very soon with the 5th and final round. Stay tuned.
Attack with Vanguard. Here.
Hey, it's Curly, and today we're taking a look at none other than Demonic Lord Invasion, the 3rd ever Cardfight Vanguard booster set that was actually released as the 4th set in English. This was released after set 6 due to the altered release schedule, and it makes matters extremely confusing whenever you look back at the game's history. But nonetheless, this set is kind of interesting because it is the start of Dimension Police as well as Pale Moon. They finally debut in this set. We also have Dark Irregulars and Tachikaze finally becoming actual clans in this set as they get their own PGs and their own triggers as well. But most people remember it mostly for being the birth of Goddess of the Full Moon, Tsukiyumi, who also comes out in this set here. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this. So this is one of those bigger booster boxes here with the rather big box size and a whole butt ton of packs here. So I think previously I did set 6, and I think that was the first set where they decided to make it so that every single pack has at least 1 trigger. I don't think that's the case for this, but these are 5 cards per pack. You get a total of, I think, 30 in an entire box, but these are 5 packs each, right? 5 packs, 5 cards each, sorry, inside of each of these. Go ahead and crack one of these open and just get started. We have here this Royal Paladin card, whose name escapes me, and of course the Aichi and Gwyn the Ripper in the cover, because I think they just didn't want to show up Tetsu and Asuka yet from the anime. So let's take a look here and see what we've got here. So we've got ourselves the Raging Dragon Sparksaurus, Dragon Dancer Ludris, a Dark Queen of the Nightmare Land, so finally a trigger for Dark Regulars, as well as a heal for Pale Moon. And we're going to get our rare here in the Ravenous Dragon Mega Rex, which is just a vanilla for Tachikaze here. Let's see if we can get something cool here. I'm really honestly just hoping if I can get my favorite card of all time here, and if I get her in SP, I will yell. So we got ourselves here Borgol here, then we got ourselves Flame Magic Dragon, a lot of, you know, focusing with soul in this set. Stand trigger for Tachikaze, as well as a crit for Pale Moon, and we're actually going to get ourselves the Hades Ringmaster, which is the first ever starter for Pale Moon, and it looks so cool in the foiling. Look at that. That looks so amazing. We were, I guess, spoiled back then, because like nowadays in Standard, every single rare has the same exact foiling. And that one there looks really cool. There's the card on the back of the pack, the Swordsman of Blaze Palmedes here. Pretty cool. Got ourselves our first Dimension Police card here, the Mass Police Grender. Super cool looking card. We got a crit for Kagura, as well as a crit for Tachikaze, and another Mega Rex here. Cool. And it would be great to see a Tsukiyumi, honestly. Not even for like card value, just to have it here, right? We got this insane hungry clown eating like a plane or something like that. Another Grandeur. We got the first ever Dimension Police starter, the Worker Pod Saturday. Has no effect, unfortunately. Got another crit. And then we're going to get ourselves the Demon of Aspiration Amon. This looks so cool, especially on the camera, right? The camera's really doing it justice because it looks so cool. See what else we've got here. Open up the next pack. Would be really excited to see an Amon, actually. That would be kind of cool too. Speaking of which, we've got Poet of Darkness Amon here. Flame Edge Dragon again. We got the Karen Royd Daisy. I really love the art on this card. Got ourselves this Stand Trigger, and oh yeah, this card's really cool too. The Imprisoned Fallen Angel Saraquel. Very cool card. This is sort of a Genocide Jack or Bruto Jack clone where it has restraint, can attack, but if you Soul Blast 3, it can attack to the end of the turn, and if it's boosted by Dark Irregulars, it gets 5k, and it's 11k base as a grade 2. So even though it can't attack, you can still use it to intercept, if anything. And if it's your Vanguard, you know your opponent has to deal with an 11k Vanguard. And I got ourselves the Decadent Succubus here. The Guardian, Oracle Guardian, Red Eye. A stand for Dark Irregulars. This crit again, and we're going to get the Alluring.
All right, here we are, final round of today's tournament. So, just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of the decks that were being played today. So we had ourselves 2 Magnolia Patriarchs, 2 Vladimir Nexuses, 1 Eva, 1 Delta Kyrie, the new Kyrie, 1 Varga Varakshasa, 1 Eglima Bat, 1 Sacrifice Glass, 1 Bob Saga, which you're seeing on screen now, 1 Zed Lance, 1 Leonore Mask, 1 Night Rose, 1 Mahar Nirvana, 1 Leonore Vivats, 1 Prison, Seraph Snow, Pure Light, whatever, and 1 Welstra. I wanted to try and get you guys the Welstra on stream last round, but they took a bit too long to get started, so I just ended up showing you Leonore versus Leonore, literally, right? But this is somewhat going to be the decisive one for who wins the tournament. Currently, we have Sage undefeated 4-0 at the top of this 5th round, and then we have Aggro Chibi 3-1. So due to people dropping and an uneven number of participants at the start, we do have a final round where both players are not undefeated, regretfully. We did have both players undefeated last round, right? But it was Beans versus Sage. So Eva versus Buff Sagra, but since Beans was already on stream, I figured I'd get someone else in case he didn't make it to the final round. So unfortunately he didn't. But here we are. I'm sure that was a great game. But now we have ourselves Buff Sagra, or I should say from left to right, Budmeyer versus Bob Sagra here. So
very somewhat interesting matchup. I feel like, of course, Buff Sagra has the advantage being the de facto best deck, and once again, we do not have any of the English restrictions being, or sorry, any of the Japanese restrictions being applied right now, as there is, yeah, it's a bit hard to say, sorry, as there is, no English ban list being released here. We do have, presumably, an English ban list coming, this weekend, August 2nd, ironically, because there will be another event that I will be casting for at the Primordial Cup on YouTube here on the Card Dweeb channel. But that is when we should be getting, actually no, that's a lie, it's not the 2nd, it's the 7th. I keep mixing those two up. So it's the week after this that we should finally get an English ban list. Whether or not we'll get both of the Japanese ban lists because we're behind by 2, or just the one, or something completely different, we'll have to wait and see, right? But as of right now, you're seeing full power Bob Sagra, 4 Value Lords, Drag Veda, what is the order called? The Blitz order, Defensing Roar at 4 versus Vladimir Nexus, the new hot shit deck, not really, but the new hot deck from set 8, right? The cover card box here. So far, we've seen nothing new. Vladimir didn't really get anything too crazy that's new, right? So we just have here the order package being set and played. As we see the schemer out there scheming, right? And getting the order to get set, which you can then use to give one of your users boost. And if you give the schemer boost, he gets an additional 5k on top of that, right? So it's a pretty solid card. I feel like, to be honest, personally, I feel like the deck can be played a bit differently right now. I don't know if you really need the boost package. I feel it makes the deck a lot more clunkier. We're actually going to see the Velderock called out here. Usually you do this in reverse, but that's fair. We're going to go ahead and Soul Charge 1 here. And then now we can go ahead and, if we want to, we can Counterblast 1 and call something out from Soul. But it looks like we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to go to battle and give the Schemer in the back row the ability to boost, which is going to give it an additional 5k power. I'm going to swing with the Vanguard here. Boosted for 18k to the Buff Sagra. We're going to No Guard here. We're going to unfortunately just test a Tizark, which is still nice to see, especially going second, I believe, right? As we see a Valor go to damage here for the Buff Sagra side. And we're going to swing, and this is going to be a nice hefty 25k to the Halberdra here. As we're going to guard that with the front and a Value Lord. Very nice. Front, of course, the effect front did not get the extra 5k shield because Aggro Chibi is not on grade 3 yet, right? So that was just 15k for 25, and they needed an extra 5 here. Now we're going to go ahead and discard a mysterious card. I can't see. Sage plays around with her drop. Okay, it's going to discard the sword to go into Buff Sagra here, right? Get our 3 energy for turn. We're going to Counterblast 1 for the Halberdra, which allows us to search our deck for up to 2 arms. We're going to get the Mace, or people call it the Hammer, but I think I call it the Mace. But we're going to, I guess, just check out, search out the Hammer and the Sword, right? We're going to put those to drop, and then we're allowed to equip 1 from our drop to our Vanguard. We're actually going to do the Shield. So Sage likes to do this thing where she puts the equip cards for Buff Sagra on front of the Vanguard instead of next to it, which makes sense, right? Because you don't have to move your rear guard circles, and also when your Vanguard swings, you don't have to like tilt the cards or anything like that. But just kind of something interesting I thought I would know as we're here chilling, relaxing, all cool. But oops, didn't want to do that. So I had to crop out Flick's field last time. But I don't need to do that anymore for aggro, so we can just go ahead and do this. There we go. So you should be a little less slanty here. As we're going to see the sword get equipped here. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and Soul Blast 2 to retire Aggro Chibi's front row, which is just going to be the Velderock, unfortunately. Probably would be better to just save the Velderock and just swing in, but I don't know. The 25k is, you know, nice. But we're going to see the Hammer come down, and I'm pretty sure the Invoke Alchemist here is going to get destroyed. Yeah. So probably should have played it a little bit more conservatively, I feel like. But we'll see how this goes. As we see the Trick Moon being called out from Babsaga effect, allowing you to countercharge one, and we have Cindy here that's going to be called out thanks to the effect of Cindy whenever Trick Moon is called out, which allows you to add a overdress unit or a arms to hand. We're going to get the Valor and go ahead and overdress, which allows you to CB1 and equip one arm from drop and put another one from drop into Soul. Looks like we're going to actually go into the shield here to draw some more cards rather than being more aggressive with the sword, but that makes sense because your opponent's on grade 2, so the sword's not actually giving 5k to the front row, right? So your only option here is really to farm up, or if you had the axe that I play, because I have it in Buff Saga Rare. But I feel like I'm the only one that plays the axe nowadays, right? I feel like everyone's cut it. But we're just going to go somewhat simple here. Swing in here with the Valor, which is going to still give 10k to the front row. Basagra still also gets a crit here. So pretty massive attack here that you have to deal with while being on turn your grade 2, right? Which is why this deck got hit multiple times. But again, the English version of this game has not had these restrictions. For the Primordial Cup, which should be on the Card Dweeb YouTube channel, I'll have to double check, but I do not think that they're following any of the restrictions. We'll have to wait and see for that, right? We're going to see a PG come down here to try and block this swing here. First check is going to be PG, second check is going to be Persona, right? So pretty good drive checks for Sage's part, assuming the Bloodmire doesn't just go ham next turn, right? This is pretty good for next turn, right? Having the PG to be able to guard while the Divine Skill is not active, and having the Persona right for next turn, right? So we're going to use the hammer to go to drop and add, I guess, the sword to hand. You can add it to hand. Okay, sure. I thought it equipped into the Vanguard. But hey, if Sage does it, it must be legit, right? She could tell me that her unit gains 100 million power without the overture, and I'll be forced to believe it, to be honest. But all right, so we're gonna go ahead and ride in to Blackmire, the original, as we're gonna put, unfortunately, just a Velderock in Soul. Of all things to go into Soul from the Ride Lightning skill, the Velderock being the only one is really rough, because not only do you not draw a card because you only put one card, but that is the one card that you use to get stuff out of Soul. So losing that Velderock, as well as having another one in drop, is going to put Aggro Chibi here in a pretty rough spot. Like I said, the rush is appreciated. It is Buff Saga, so I get it. But yeah, losing the Alchemist is a bit unfortunate. I feel like we could have kept that in hand and not lost that. Losing the one Velderock, maybe that would have been okay. But I think we also could have just kept that in hand, and we could have just gone with Schemer in the front row, personally. Probably pushed about as much damage, maybe not as much shield from hand. But yeah. As we do have a third Velderock here that we're going to call out here. We're going to run in Soul Charge, what I think was an not Invoke Alchemist. What is this loser's name? The guy that gets the crit in the Bloodmire. I'm blanking out on his name. That's crazy. Dang it. Completely blanking out on that guy's name. Zamoog, yes, thank you. Whew, I'm just like, what is this man's name? I keep trying to say Elaborate Wizard in my head. I was like, no, that's wrong. So we're gonna see the Zamoog come out here as we're gonna look at the top 3 here. That kind of sucks. It's gonna be crit and heal. Would have loved to have been able to check those, as we're gonna see a Schemer here go to Soul. We're gonna put the rest of those back to the deck, and then we're going to go ahead and shuffle. And then since we put at least one card, we're gonna be able to draw here. But this is looking kind of rough. Hopefully Chibi does at least switch out the Schemer. Granted, Sage still has access to the Mace if she wants to be. She's in a decent position here. I feel like if she wanted to, she could get rid of the Velderock in the back row. I feel like that would put her to win the game later on, right? If we got 3 of the 4 Velderocks out of the game, I feel like that basically clinches it for her, right? So that is a bit unfortunate, but you definitely don't just want to leave it there in the front row where Buff Saga can easily snipe. It looks like, unfortunately, we're just gonna go to battle, so that Velderock is going to die. Yeah, should have just put that in the front row, even though, yeah, it would even be stronger. It would be a much stronger column as well, right? Because the Velderock is going to get +4. Sorry, +10 10 because you're gonna have 4 bound face down. We are going to see the Restander Yugmashad get bound face down, but of course the Valor cannot be targeted. So even though the Schemer gets 5k, the Valorok gets... Actually, it would have been about the same. It would have been 5k short, but again, you would have protected the Valorok, right? And that way, if Sage wanted to commit the Mace, the Hammer, that would be, you know, a bit to her detriment because she won't be able to double equip Sword as much. So... But we're going to draw here from the Bladmire skill, and then, yeah, that column is going to be 20, 35, and then Zamug is just flat 10, able to get, you know, a little bit of power here to make it 15 and crit. As we're going to use the shield here to guard this attack. Bladmire is at 23, so this is a 1 to pass, throwing out the Cindy for a 2 to pass here. Since we don't have the Alchemist here, we're going to get a critical trigger. That is interesting. He's choosing, I guess, to give power to Zamug, crit to the Beldorok. And we're going to check a PG, which is at least good. We should be able to maybe survive next turn. We are, on the Bladmire side, only at 2 damage. So, but again, losing 3 out of 4 Beldoroks is going to make this extremely rough, especially when you're running the boost package specifically, right? So that's what I was alluding to, that I don't really like the boost package in Bladmire anymore. I feel like it just adds a lot of extra chunk to the deck. I feel like if you just play that new card, the weird BDMS Demon Girl, you'd be in a much better spot because that actually gets shield and it can also boost, right? And that way you're not super reliant on your Veldoroks, and I feel like, I don't know, like you can maybe even get away with both of them and just, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the boost package is just kind of clunky right now. I get it, Veldorok is huge and whatnot, but I don't know, man. Maybe that's just me. But we know Sage has basically everything that she needs here to do a lot of damage to aggro Chibi here, right? Because we have the ability here to Persona Ride, right? Gives us an extra card in hand, 10k to the front row. Aggro Chibi is finally on grade 3, so the sword is finally going to be active to give 5k to the entire front row. Whether or not we can equip multiple times is a different story, but we can at least equip from drop thanks to Buff's skill, right? So we immediately have at least that. And we'll also be able to retire the front row, which again would put aggro in a really rough spot. As I've said it again, 3 out of 4 Veldoroks out of the game. Unless, of course, there is some recursion you can do with the new Blackmire, right? Because there are ways to take cards from drop, put them into soul. From soul, put them bound face down. From bound face down, put them into your hand, right? So there are ways to recycle it. Whether or not we have the pieces or we even have the cards in deck is a different story. Excuse me. Throat is running a little bit dry here. But we are going to go ahead and use Buff's skill here to equip the sword. We're going to energy charge 1. We're going to call out the Trickman from drop. We're going to then call out counter charge, call out the Cindy. Use that to get the Valor. I guess we overcalled somehow. Nope. We're first going to Soul Blast 2 to retire the front row. Then we're going to put Cindy into Soul. Then we're going to go ahead and pop Valorlord back to hand and Overdressed, and then CB1. And we're going to go ahead and actually just go into another shield. I don't know if there's another sword in drop. There might not be. So we're just going to use that to draw cards here, which is still pretty good. Again, Sage is, of course, in a pretty good position. Obviously, the best player playing the best deck. Not a knock on aggro, just Sage is one of the best players that we have around, right, in this game. So, gonna be able to bring out the Aparaja here from drop. It's gonna get itself a nice little 5k. But other than that, it doesn't look like we have much, right? So Aggro Shibi here might have a shot if we can maybe scam with the Divine skill next turn. We'll see. As the Buff Sire is going to swing in here, use the Valor to give 10k to the front row here. Plus the Persona Rise, that's 20k to the front row. Plus the sword, 25k to the whole front row. So that grade 2 there is actually going to be able to swing in for 40k from all these boosts, because it gets 5k and has 25 plus from the front row, right? As we're going to see a PG coming here. So we're going to see first check, Aparaja, second check, Yugma shot, third check, a critical trigger, which of course will go all on rear, right? So now that is 52 damage, which at the very least we are at only, again, 2 damage. So we can take this hit if we need to. Sage might not want to give them the counter blast, perhaps, but I feel like we are in a comfortable enough spot here where it's not that big of a deal, right? So we're gonna go ahead and swing in here for what I'm pretty sure is 50, right? Because it's 5 plus the 25 and then the 35 from the trigger. So we're gonna go ahead and take this. We're gonna see another Colossus go to damage, unfortunate. And then the second check is gonna be a front trigger, very unfortunate on the last attack. 10k to the front row here, as the sword is gonna go to drop. And we're gonna see the turn pass over. Alright. Just letting everyone know that they have an extra 10 minutes to complete their games, or they will in 2 minutes. They'll have an extra 10 minutes. All right. Sorry, look at the way. Looks like we have the Nexus come down here, right? So now we can activate the Vladimir Bind skill in main phase, which is pretty powerful because your opponent can't intercept, right? So you can go ahead and bind 4. I'm gonna bind April's Aparaja here, which is not really a big of a deal. I think we saw another one in drop or in hand there, so it is kind of whatever. If there was anything to get bound, it would you would want that, right? So now we have at least 8 cards in bound. So we have the Divine Skill active. I feel like at this position we kind of have to just scam and we just go for it, right? There's no reason to delay this and not do the Divine Skill. So we're going to be able to, I think that's the Veldarak that wasn't sold. We're going to call it out using, I think, Nexus's skill. And then we're going to soul charge 1. And I don't think we really have anything in soul here, so I don't think we're going to call anything else out. Again, please put it in the back row. I beg you. Please. It's your last Veldarak. Dope. It looks like we're going again straight to battle. We're going to give the Schemer. 5k is just too good. We're going to swing in Vladimir skill, and then it looks like, I'm pretty sure we will probably Divine Skill here, but we'll see. Let's see what's happening here. I'm probably trying to ask for some values here. Unless we're missing, oh, we might not have enough inbound actually, because we called one for the Veldarak, right? Unless they, yeah, I think they bound the Veldarak and called one, so they only have 7 in mind, which is tragic. Especially because all the grade 3s went to damage, so that would have given you the extra, but yeah. Because yeah, you get 5k, and then you choose up to 1 face down card and you can call it, or you can just draw 1. So probably should have just drawn 1, moved the guy up, and then done the Divine Skill. Unless I missed something, but yeah, since all the Colossus went to damage, there was no extra way to get cards into bind, which has been unfortunate. Or maybe they called that from hand. I don't know. I guess we'll see right now. But I have the audio from the players muted, so it doesn't show up on the stream. It doesn't distract me, but yeah, not being able to see another Invoke Alchemist, not seeing a single Elaborate Wizard has really been to Aggro Chibi's detriment here, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try and swing in here. We'll know if Sage decides to PG, right? Then we know if the Divine Skill is live or not, but or if Sage takes 2 damage here without the crit, right? So we're gonna see Tizark, and then second check is going to be the Order. All right, so let's see how much damage Sage takes here. Looks like the Divine Skill did go through. Okay. No. Okay, just 1 damage. Okay, 1 damage. Okay, I thought I saw her do 2, but no, it's just 1 damage. So yeah, no divine skill. So yeah, so they only have 7 bound, right? And then they're gonna swing, you know, decent number with this thing, but it doesn't really matter. And if Sage has another Persona right in hand, I don't know if Aqua Chibi is gonna be able to survive this, unfortunately, or do much after that, right? Because yeah, constantly having to deal with the buff Saga retire is not very good for this deck that doesn't really build a board super easily. Doesn't plus super easily either, right? Can do like a lot of 1-for-1s, but yeah, so with the PGs gonna get shown there, which of course again proves that the divine skill cannot go through. As we're gonna go ahead and pass her in here, see if Sage can Persona ride here and possibly win the game. We'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure she didn't Persona ride. I looked away for like 2 seconds when she could have Persona ride, but I'm assuming she did not, right? So we're gonna not call the Aparaja. We're gonna change our mind here. We are going to Energy Blast 7, it looks like, to draw 1. Then we're gonna call the Aparaja. Look at, I think it's the top 5 to mill 1. Looks like we hit the Value Lord. You basically hit arms, overdress, or cross overdress. Or no, dress boost. Yeah, sorry. Arms, overdress, or dress boost. And Value Lord actually has both of those keywords, right? Last 2. So we're gonna put a card from hand into soul here. Looks like Defensing Roar possibly. In order to equip, I'm pretty sure, the sword from a drop. Looks like both players just, I feel like all 3 games I've shown on stream, the players just have not, no player was able to like open full combo, open the nuts or anything like that. So it's just been sort of very slow 3 attack turns. So far this one has just been 2 attacks, right? Which is kind of insane. How like high volume and how fast Vanguard is right now, standard at least, and we haven't been able to showcase any of that, I feel like, on this stream, except for maybe the first game, but that didn't even really count. That was just because it was, or the second game I should say, because I was just Bat versus Varga, and Varga just managed to steamroll through them because Bat didn't get enough defense, and they couldn't get the Mo Flash essentially, right? And what was the first game? It was Eva versus was it Leonore? Might have been Leonore. No, it was Kyrie. Eva versus Kyrie, right? But that one was at least able to get multiple attacks. But we have not gotten multiple attacks per turn since the very first round, right? After that, we gotten at most 3 attacks per turn, I think. We maybe got an extra attack in. Yeah, we had like 4 attacks sparsely in Nirvana versus Prison. But that was it, yeah. And then last turn, we didn't get multiple attacks until the last turn where Click went into Leonore and Mask and he was able to restand. But he also checked over trigger so that he didn't actually get to do it. Yeah, literally on his Vanguard this entire tournament. So we're going to take some damage here. Looks like we're at 5 damage here, right? On the Vladimir side, looks like we got a Yugma shot as well as 2 Valley Lords, and yeah, buff Sagaring over here. Do you have at least a PG here? And we're gonna discard these boost order, so that's good to get that out of the hand because that's kind of useless right now, especially if we don't get any units. We got Persona Ride, we've got a critical trigger, I believe that is, yeah. See where that goes. We also have a Trick Moon. So yeah, unless we have 2 other PGs, because I think we've already seen 2 PGs out. So unless we have the other 2 PGs in hand, this might be a little bit of curtains for our buddy here. Actually, I think we've seen 3 PGs, including the one that's being used now. So we'll see. Trying to decide where to give the crit and power. So okay, split it up in some way. I can't tell, but and then we're gonna get another one. Yeah, so I'm gonna assume that we're probably gonna split it up, and both are gonna have crit and power. Well, for swinging for lethal anyways, right? So not like it entirely matters, to be brutally honest, but Sage, of course, trying to play to every possible outcome here. If, for example, the overtrigger or something like that shows up, right? Which is, to my knowledge, I think still live. I think there are still heals left for aggro Chibi, right? And he has done a little bit of deck thinning, so he's not entirely dead yet. But this Balsagra board is pretty massive, thanks to the ability of these Valor Lords, right? And it looks like she actually swung with Valor Lord boosted the first swing, so she gave the 10k the first time around. So these attacks won't get it any bigger, but they're already humongous as it is. And we're counting PGs here. We have 2 in drop, and I think, yeah, there's a third one in drop. And is there another one? No, yeah, that's what I thought. So he has to have another PG, or he needs to have the last PG and OT in hand in order to make it through this, essentially, right? As she's gonna swing in here with the Aparaja and the Trick Moon column here, which is like 70 something, right? Because Trick Moon gives gives plus 20 to the front row. We're gonna use the Tizark here. Try to EB3, drawing 1. I think I saw red OT from that. And we're going to drop. Yeah, that's a big number. So that is going to be 38, which I'm sure it's not enough. It's probably like 50 something. 38, 48, 53. Yep. It's probably like 50 flat, and then this is humongous as well, right? Well, actually, that's not as big, but still really big. So this is 33. It's probably also like another 50. Okay, we got 33 here from the front, and then now we got 48. Okay, I guess that was just enough. Whoo! Somehow survived double crit from Buff Sagra. Insane. Insane. I guess that's why we haven't seen a lot of Weirs called out by Vladimir, right? Because unfortunately we just had a bunch of triggers in hand, but that is allowing us to survive, to make it this far into the game. If we can top deck Persona, no, but we can get an Invoke Alchemist and the Elaborate Wizard, which I guess is something. Yeah, I guess lets you look at the top 2. To put 1 into Soul. Put the rest on the bottom. Sure. I'll be honest, I don't I haven't gotten my Vladimir stuff yet, so I don't know what the other cards do other than just Vladimir himself. He is, yeah, when placed on rear from hand, look at the top 2 cards from your deck, choose up to 1, put it to Soul, put the rest on the bottom of your deck. Yeah. So those drive checks would have been completely ass, right? I don't know if we have enough Soul here. Yeah, we're missing 1 Soul. And we need the Vladimir in Soul, I think, to use the Divine skill, right? Or does it count from Bind? Yeah, and your Soul has to have the original Vladimir, which fucking sucks. Oh, so yeah, he needs to somehow get 2 more cards into Soul. Or maybe not, maybe not. I think you can use the skill with just 2 cards, right? No, you have to bind 4. Never mind. This Vladimir, you have to bind 4 to use the skill. So you can do it for like big numbers, I guess, but yeah, you'll lose the Divine skill because you need the Vladimir in Soul, the original Vladimir, which is super mega yikes. And you have to bind the original Vladimir. You can just bind 2, I think, and you can remove 2 of your opponent's stuff, and then you do 4, you can get the power. But this one says specifically 4 face down, no more, no less. So, or you can bind the original Vladimir face down, right? But then you can't do the Divine skill if you don't have the original one, right? So it's super unfortunate there. But the OG does need you to bind 4 to get power, and the rearguard bind. Yeah, I think you can bind 2 to just do the rearguard bind. And then if you do all 4, you also get the power, I think, but because I think it's 2 or more, and if you did 4, it's weirded, I think, that way. Not weirded, worded that way, if I remember correctly. Let me double check. Yeah, you can bind 2 or more up to 4 for the original Bloodmire, yeah. Oh, the only 2 gets you the draw. Whoo! That's kind of ass, but yeah, fair enough. That makes sense, yeah. Let me just check on the time. We have 2 minutes, okay. Alright, so I guess we call the Veldorok again. I don't know where the hell he's getting all these Veldoroks from, but I managed to call a Veldorok here. We do have the ability to restand, right? So we can do some stuff here, but just let them know that they have an extra 10 minutes. Gonna see the Bloodmire here swinging. This is gonna be massive because, right, the Alchemist is also a huge booster. So we're gonna counterblast 1 here. We're gonna restand the Veldorok. He's also really huge. I don't know how many are in bind, but I'm assuming he's like plus 30 at this point, or at least 20. We're gonna PG drop Persona Ride. Let's see where we get here. First check is going to be the critical trigger. Maybe we can scam. Maybe we can scam here. We're gonna give all effects to Veldorok, it looks like. Second check is gonna be a Tizark, which is actually live because we have a bunch of energy, because we haven't seen more than 1 Zamoog, which is a bit tragic, but it is what it is. As we're gonna go ahead and now swing with Veldorok, who did get the crit and power, so I'm assuming this is like 42 damage? 45 maybe, because I think you get 5k. With the original Bloodmire. But yeah, I think you only have 8 bound. So it's 10 for every 2, or 10 for every 4. 10 for every 4, so that's 30. 35 plus the trigger, 45, right? Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and guard that. And then we have the last attack here, which we can take. I feel like this just gives us counterblast that we can use. I guess you might as well swing in, but we're just gonna go ahead and guard that. Yeah, it's not really that big of an attack. Now we're gonna go ahead and stand and draw. I'll be honest, I thought Buff Sagar had this on Circum Persona Ride, but we somehow managed to survive that on the Blandmire side. So let's see here. We did have to discard Persona Ride for PG. Let's see if we have another copy here. We do, so that makes sense. We're gonna go ahead and Persona Ride here, draw. 10k to the front row. We have 2 Valords in the back row. And of course we can very easily equip a sword and go to swinging. Opponent should not have that many cards in hand. An opponent is at 5 damage. Let's see what we end up doing here. I don't know if there's any way to do any shenanigans. I feel like we just play this normally. But we'll see here. Alright, we're gonna put a card from hand into soul here in order to equip, I'm pretty sure, the sword. Giving 5k to the front row. And then calling out the ride line, grade 1 actually here, and charging 1. Because I guess maybe Trick Moon got bound, right? We did choose what to bind. But we're gonna again retire Veldorok for like, I feel like the 5th time. Veldorok just keeps fucking dying. We're gonna swing with Vanguard here, give 10k to the front row. Swing in with crit drive +1. Persona power, so 20k to the front row, 25k to the front row here. So this is what 21 41, right? No, yeah, 41 46. So we're gonna guard this with 43 48 for a 1 to pass. we're gonna check the fucking drag beta. And that is why this deck is not allowed to use drag beta. Oh, and unfortunately, I mean, unless we check our own ulti here, that is going to be the game. Super tragic. Ugh. That was pretty rough, pretty rough. Both players not able to do a lot of numbers of attacks, right? So super rough there. But that is going to do it for the tournament here. I think that was the last game to be reported. Yes, so I can very quickly give out who won and what decks won. Everything looks in order. Waiting to see if anyone says anything. No one said anything. Okay. Ending the tournament. Bricks be bricking. Yeah. So many bricks in a row. So, all right. Thank you everyone for stopping by. Our winners today. And third place is Lynx. Lynx was playing, I believe, Varga. Yeah, they were the second fighter we saw against Bat. They ended a score of 4-1. Beans was the first person we saw playing Eva. They fought against Kyrie. And Sage is the person that we just saw playing Bafsagra, who won 5-0, undefeated in this tournament. So that's your top three. Sage in first, Beans in second, Lynx in third, Bob in first, Eva in second, and Varga in third. Very nice, very nice. All right, thank you all very much for sticking through, and hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, Varga. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, your morning, your evening, what have you. Thank you for joining this impromptu stream. Of course, thank you for stopping by. And laters.